So many of you may know that Guru Kripa Prabhu and Sankirtan Party helped for collecting here for Krishna Balaram Mandir. And
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nama Sreshta Manumapi Sachiputra Atra Sarupam Urpam Tasyagrajam Urupurim Matarim Gostavatim Radha Kundam Giveramaho Radigamadavasham Prapto Yasha Pratita Kripaya Suguruntam Tato Ashmi. Srila Prabhupada, with the flowers around your neck and the word Krishna on your lips, you said just chant this mantra and you'll find truth and bliss. So we were young and we heard this and we believed this, and like a flash of lightning our life changed and we were swept up in the tsunami of Prabhupada's love and in awe of such a person that we had no choice in the matter. To give a small example, once I asked Srila Prabhupada in Bombay, I used to make the chandan in the morning in the Akash Ganga building on the 7th floor, and I would make the chandan and then go in there and put it on. So one morning then I was putting it on and he looked at me and he said, "You don't like me." And I said, "No, Prabhupada, I do like you." And he said, "If you like me, why are you hitting me?" Because I was banging it. And then I asked him another morning, very naive, I said, "Srila Prabhupada, do you ever think of your spiritual master?" I mean, what kind of question is that? Because we only think of Prabhupada every day and in the dreams and everywhere, but he said yes. He was very kind. He didn't chastise me or say you're an idiot like that. He said yes in a very mellow mood. I'm always feeling the presence of my Guru Maharaj. So we are always feeling Prabhupada's presence, and his mercy is still here. When I came last month, and then I went in Prabhupada's room, and I started to say something, and then he immediately looked up. He looked up at me and he gave me his merciful glance and went back to the deity form. So Prabhupada is always there when the desire is intense, and by his mercy, he came and in a flash of lightning, he left us, and he left us suffering and in separation. But one thing he left was all of his lovely and loving disciples, and we have their association. And if you look at all of Prabhupada's disciples, we all have a certain look because we're all family, and Prabhupada entered all of us. So he's our father and we're all the separated children. So I just wanted to thank Prabhupada today and every day of my life, that you are my life and soul, and I'm ready to go at a moment's notice to the next service. If you need me, just take me right this minute and I'll go do as you like. So he knows that, I know that, and I just request everybody take to Prabhupada's teachings and take to what he's given, and your life will also be sublime. Hare Krishna.
thank you, Guru Kripa Maharaj. I'd like to ask Mahatma Prabhu to come and speak, and after Mahatma Prabhu, Lokanath Maharaj, and then Mother Malati.
ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे Gauravani Pacharine Nirisesha Shanyavari Pachati Pachatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyashta Kripa Sindhuvyevacha Kotitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangolangayate Girim Yakkapatamaham Vande Sri Guru Dinatarinam. So as Guru Kripa Prabhu was talking about Prabhupada looking at him, then that sparked some stories I could tell about my own experience of Prabhupada's all-pervasiveness or presence even when we feel he's not present. Because on the disappearance day, we are supposed to feel Prabhupada's presence in disappearance. But when Prabhupada first disappeared, we felt very strongly his disappearance, not his presence. But as we matured, we began to understand his presence in his disappearance. And sometimes we even feel that closer than we were with him. So I wanted to tell some stories and also mention that Prabhupada said only 4 or 5 times I was with my spiritual master. But I always felt his presence. So this is a story of one of my associations with Prabhupada when I wasn't personally present with him. But I became a devotee shortly after I turned 19 years of age. And 8 months after, I was asked to be temple president. And I wasn't qualified for the job. And it was a fairly difficult job in those days because we didn't have sufficient manpower or money. And I was always in anxiety about paying bills. I was in anxiety about managing the temple. I was in anxiety about dealing with the devotees. Devotees that were in my temple were not the easiest people in the world to deal with. And we were also being harassed by the police for our Sankirtan on the streets. Shops were complaining. It was very, very, very difficult. And I hit a certain point, at a very high level of anxiety. It's very, very intense. Like I really almost couldn't continue. I couldn't go on. It was so difficult. And I was so young and inexperienced. And in the height of my anxiety, I had a dream. And in that dream, Prabhupada came to me and he rubbed my hands. And this dream happened sometime in 1970, and I can remember it as if it were last night, because he rubbed my hands very, very soothingly, like a father or grandfather. And the message that came through that was, everything will be okay. I'm here. I know what you're going through. I'm completely aware of the sacrifices you're making, and continue, and I will protect you. I will take care of you. That's the message I got, that Prabhupada was well aware of my situation. And then subsequently, within the next year, maybe 15 or 20 devotees joined the temple and things started expanding. Money came. We had enough resources, manpower and so forth. So Prabhupada knew. It was very personal for me. He knew what I was going through. And he was there. And then Guru Kripa reminded me of another story that happened a few years ago in Mayapur. I had developed a habit where I stopped using counter beads, because my tendency is just to remember things, not write them down, not count them, not make notes. When I grew up, I never wrote any homework assignments down. I just remember them. This is what I have to do. So I was doing that with my japa. And one morning I was going to the temple, and I was going for Mangalartik, and I was thinking, did I finish my rounds yesterday? I couldn't remember. Did I chant 15? Did I chant 16? Because I didn't have counter beads. And so after Mangalartik, I went into Prabhupada's Samadhi to chant my rounds, wondering if I have one round left or do I begin a new days of rounds. And I looked up at the murti, and Prabhupada's counter beads started going like this, swinging. And I thought, I'm just dizzy or tired. because I had put my head down. And then I lifted my head up, and when I looked at the murti, I saw the counter beads. So then I thought, well, let me put my head down again and do it, because maybe I'm just dizzy and I'm seeing it move. So I did it again. It didn't work. And then about an hour later, I went home and I told the devotees, you won't believe what happened, but Prabhupada told me that I should be using counter beads because he was wiggling his counter beads. And the devotee was packing, cleaning his things out, leaving, and he picked up some counter beads. He goes, here's some counter beads. I just happen to have these in my hand. I don't need them. So the point of these stories is there may be many stories and many of you can share, but the point is that Prabhupada is still with us. He knows what's going on. He's present. He feels us. He knows what we're thinking. Whether or not you're initiated by him, we're all connected with him. And we should never think he's separated, and we should never think he doesn't understand what we're going through and the movement's going through. And we should never think that he's not going to correct whatever needs to be corrected within ourselves, within our organization. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Mahatma Prabhu ki jai. Thank you. I'd like to ask His Holiness Lokanath Maharaj.
I found Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan during Kartik month. Then I lost Prabhupada in Vrindavan during Kartik also. The number of Prabhupada disciples is decreasing day by day. And one of these, this is 39th disappearance festival, so as there will be 40th and 45th, and will not be there. As Guru Kripa Prabhu said, he left and giving us all the suffering of the feeling separation from him. But then I was thinking that that suffering could also end in when we disappear, we'll join Srila Prabhupada again. So that disappearance could be a welcome thing for us. We'll be happy to join Srila Prabhupada. Also on the disappearance day, I feel Prabhupada appears more than even other normal days. His presence is felt so strongly. And we do not want to celebration, the Srila Prabhupada disappearance festival celebration. So he's gone. So let us celebrate. Now he appears, and then we celebrate. This appearance festival is festival of his appearance. I'm amazed every day by the accomplishments of Srila Prabhupada. Pabe Chamatkar, as Chaitanya Charitamrita says, if you want to try to understand the merciful nature of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as you try to understand, you will be amazed how merciful. Be amazed. So likewise, what Prabhupada accomplished, if we try to understand, I am amazed. Past 45 years, I'm trying to understand Prabhupada and trying to understand what he has accomplished. And every time, every other day, every now and then, I yet hear something, what he said or what he did, and I'm simply amazed. He opened 100 temples, initiated 5,000 disciples, wrote some 70, 80 volumes of books, and he could go on and on and on and on. One of my godbrothers said, I am, in last 30 years, I'm just trying to open one temple. Start one temple. And still I have not accomplished. But Prabhupada, so many temples, so many disciples, so many books, so many goshalas, gurukul schools, farm communities. My list is long and big. And we say, oh, he did it single-handedly. I think it is not single-handedly. He did as if he had 1,000 hands. Only someone with 1,000 hands could do such a thing, not single-handedly. And the revolution in consciousness. So many, world has seen so many revolutions, but no one created a revolution in consciousness. This is a contribution of Srila Prabhupada. And you know, the way he says, you could meet Krishna, you could dance with Krishna. He says so naturally, with full conviction. You could dance with Krishna, you could meet with Krishna. So, by doing all that, you know, he has given me life, he has given all of us life, and so many others around the world have prananti, we got our life back. We are dead matter. But Srila Prabhupada gave us life. Of course, he gave us Krishna. Radha Krishna Pranamor, Jugala Kishore. Srila Prabhupada gave Radha Krishna to us, to the whole world. So, we could only say Sakshad Haritvaina. Samasta Shastris, he is Sakshad Hari. Only Sakshad Hari could do such things, but at the same time he is Kintu Prabhorya Priya Eva Tasya Vande Guru Sri Charanaravindam. Also very dear, at the same time very dear to Sri Krishna Balaram, and to such Srila Prabhupada we offer our most humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Thank you, Lokanath Maharaj. I'd like to ask Mother Malati make her offering to Prabhupada, then His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami, then Mother Devi Shakti. Put it.
Hare Krishna. Actually, Srila Prabhupada named me Malati Devi Dasi, just for the record. Not, anyway. Dear Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you. I bow down before you, offering my repeated and humble obeisances again and again. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please show us your face. Make us a miracle of your divine grace. You are our master. We are your slaves. Please let us serve you. day after day after day after day. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. In one word, yes, you declared it was true, that you were a cowboy who was always herding cows in Goloka Vrindavan with his dearmost friend Krishna. Devotees may speculate it's quite natural to do, but those in that San Francisco apartment clearly heard this admission from you. You were sometimes running through the forest barefoot, sometimes hiding behind a tree, waiting for Krishna to return with the spoils of Mother Yasoda's butter pots. You were always thinking what you can do in service for your dearmost friend Krishna, never wanting anything in return. And this was from a poem that was written by a young disciple in early 1968 in San Francisco. We thought, her name was Harsharani Devi Dasi. We thought it was maybe a little simplistic, but to our surprise, Srila Prabhupada ordered it to be printed in Back to Godhead magazine, and it appeared in May of '68. But some of us were wondering about that description, so we went up to his little quarters in San Francisco, and we innocently asked him, "Swamiji, are you a cowboy?" And he answered, "Yes." In terms of eternity, 50 years is a blip in time, but those precious first 50 years in ISKCON are indelibly embedded in our hearts, our minds, our thoughts, our actions, and our psychics, and our daily lives. 50 years of transformation, 50 years of wonder. You've never left us, Srila Prabhupada. You're always with us every day. ISKCON 50, put to the test. Dear Srila Prabhupada, don't allow us to rest. Please let us actively continue to serve you. Please let us always go on serving you, as did you go on serving your Srila Prabhupada. Your Dasi, Malati Devi Dasi. So, I'm taking advantage of this wonderful assembly of really august Vaishnavas, my advanced God brothers and God sisters, to request prayers for my daughter Saraswati, that she can return to Prabhupada's active service. My daughter Saraswati was the first child born in this movement. And I request your prayers that Srila Prabhupada will always remain in the center of ISKCON. Hare Krishna.
Haribol, thank you. I'd like to ask His Holiness Bhakti-Vikas Swami, please come make his offering. After Maharaj, Mother Devi Shakti. I have Buddhism. He's here. Pancha, you want to do after Mother Devi Shakti? You're not doing it all. Okay?
Srila Prabhupada, by the great unfathomable mercy of Krishna, I became a Bhagyavan Jiva, very fortunate soul, to get the opportunity to renovate, refurbish, re-establish my eternal forgotten relationship with Krishna. By His mercy, He sent you to me. You are the doorway to Krishna. I have to go to Krishna through you. Theoretically, there are so many sadhus, so many saints, so many gurus, so many devotees of Krishna. But Krishna very kindly put me at your lotus feet. You taught a very simple formula of how to get the mercy of Krishna. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado yasya prasada nagati katopi. It's a very simple formula. We sing it every day. Our lives are based on that principle. It all seemed very simple since you're passing from our manifest presence. In course of time, we, as your followers, became faced with maybe not exactly doubts, but some more complexity than we thought arose. What does it mean to follow you? To please you means to follow you. It's a very simple thing. Just do what I say, you told us, and I will take you to Krishna. And that's the formula. We have to stick with that and live with that. But then there have arisen various interpretations or opinions or understandings of what it means to follow you. And it might be also supposed or understood that there are various ways to follow you. We have to come to terms with presenting you, which means your instructions, your utterances, your heaviness, guru, heavy, to a world which in many ways increasingly is less willing to accept your message even than when you spoke it. In some ways, nowadays Krishna consciousness is welcome. We heard again Mahatma Prabhu mention how he had to deal with the police for chanting. Nowadays, in many parts of the world where previously this was a punishable offense, now it's very welcome. So in many ways the Krishna conscious movement that you brought is more open, more acceptable to the people. But in some ways, with the cultural divide in the Western world and the ascendance of cultural relativism, your absolutism has become more unwelcome. At least some of our devotees seem to think like that. So it's a great challenge to find how is it that we can please you fully? Srila Prabhupada in all respects and push on your movement in the world today. It should be a very simple thing. Life is very complex. I can't say I know all the answers, although I'm supposed to be giving answers as a sannyasi and a guru in your service. But anyway, I just pray on this day that you'll give me the clear and pure intelligence to know how to serve you, how to please you, and not displease you, because without that, there's no hope. And with your mercy, there's all hope. It's our only way back to Krishna is through you, Srila Prabhupada. All glories to your divine lotus feet.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj, for your offering. I'd like to ask Mother Daivi Shakti to make her offering. Then we have Sikhi Mahiti Prabhu. Several devotees are going out in the parikram, Brajmandala parikram. So it's amazing after 39 years how there's so much love and appreciation for Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada's formula is working. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Paschatya Desha Tarine. We all know that Srila Prabhupada previously was a scientist, he was a chemist, he created his own formulas that worked, and then after he began this ISKCON movement 50 years ago, he was the supreme scientist. He wasn't a hypothetical scientist experimenting. The formulas that Srila Prabhupada had were axiomatic. He was taking them from the Vedas and from the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and giving those formulas to us, assuring us that if we follow what Prabhupada said, we would get the expected result, just as any scientist would be able to guarantee. So Srila Prabhupada, one of the most important principles that Prabhupada taught us, originally came from Krishna himself. We know Sarva Dharmam Parityajya Mamekam Saranam Braja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayishyami Ma Suchaha. Ma Suchaha, we shouldn't worry if we surrender to Krishna. And then in the book of formulas and laws, Hari Bhakti Vilas, in the Sanskrit, this was put in code form, Rakshishyatit it Vishvasaha. That means that Krishna will protect you and you should have faith, certainly. Now because most people don't know Sanskrit, by the mercy of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he put the same principle into Bengali, colloquial Bengali, in his Sharanagati. And in the introduction to his songbook, he gave the fourth principle of surrender, and that was Avashya Rakibe Krishna Vishvas Palan. So this, some of us might understand, anyone who knows Bengali, but even that is difficult for us because most of us don't know Bengali. So at the end of Brahma Samhita, the son of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, our Param Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, he simplified this code into English. And he said, what did he say? I hope I have it here. He said, exclusive faith in me is trust. So that comes at the very end of reading all of the beautiful prayers by Brahma to Lord Krishna. And this is the synopsis. When we understand the greatness of Krishna as the supreme being, friend, and enjoyer, if we have exclusive faith in him, then that is real trust. Now, anyone who's read Brahma Samhita, that's very high English. Some of us can't even understand that English that is being spoken there. So Srila Prabhupada, for our benefit, he simplified this process of surrender in English that we could understand. And the way Prabhupada gave it to us was, go to hell and preach, and Krishna will protect you. So this is what we're doing in our Krishna consciousness movement. Srila Prabhupada, he sent his disciples all over the world. I remember one year, Brahmananda, he was telling us that as he leaned over, Prabhupada wanted to speak to him when Prabhupada was in his bed just before he left. And Prabhupada told him, he whispered in his ear, go to the interior. And Brahmananda couldn't understand what he was speaking about. Finally, later, he realized Prabhupada meant the interior of Africa. So that's where the cannibals are. It's hell. But this is where Prabhupada, final instruction, wanted him to go to hell and preach. And then he sent the devotees behind the Iron Curtain. He sent the devotees to China. He sent them all over the world to preach, assuring us that Krishna would protect us. So this is the way we understand this principle of having exclusive faith in Krishna, and then we trust him. Now, we were having our festival committee meetings, as we always do every year. The festival is always increasing how to make it most compatible so the devotees are happy, especially on this 50th anniversary. And we got a message from the U.S. Embassy that we have to be careful because there might be an attack. We're a religious society, we're Hindu, is a big gathering, all of the things that the terrorists are looking for. And then our temple president, he said, what type of defense do we have? We have nothing. Absolutely, we don't even have a sandbag. Nothing at all. All we have is Krishna's protection. And going beyond that, now we have Prabhupada's books in Arabic so that we can preach to the terrorists. So ultimately, we're completely depending on Lord Krishna. We have full faith in him. We have full trust in him. And if anyone ever comes to attack us, we give them a book. Hare Krishna. Jai.
Thank you, Mother Devi Shakti. I'd like to ask Sikhi Mahiti Prabhu to come and speak. And after that, Gopal Krishna Maharaj. Yeah.
Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti-Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Pasyatya Deshatarani Om Agana Timiranjasya Gananjanan Sulakaya Chakshumintamayana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Let me offer my basis as Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Actually, I was trying to avoid speaking. I just came up to ask Lokanath Swami when is he going for the Parikaram. And somehow or another, I guess Prabhupada has hooked me over here. So, I guess what I would like to say is I joined 1974. I say this often. This is probably near the, if you break up Prabhupada, ISKCON Leela in that era into 3 parts, kind of the last part. And that was pretty unique in the sense that the devotees joining at that time pretty much came in as the people who would render mostly the small services. All the leaders were pretty much established already. GBC is there, temple presidents. At that time also, the expansion that was going on for Prabhupada was sending devotees so many places. Just as Malati, we hear of Malati and the devotees going to London. I think they tend to forget to mention Saraswati went also. So there was a baby preaching also. So anyway, I guess a lot of us think, well, I wish I could have joined at that time, because then every day you're with Prabhupada and you can talk to him and so many things. So joining in 74 also, you had those aspirations too, that we knew, let me render some service in such a way that Prabhupada would personally recognize it. Not that he's not recognizing it, but on occasions he would write letters or send something. And maybe, in my case, I don't know, I was very naive. I was about 18 when I joined. I'm thinking, maybe I'll become Prabhupada's servant. If I can really do something nice, he'll give me that opportunity. Of course, now hearing how Harisari and Shrutakirti, those two servants were many, what they rendered, I couldn't have done it. There's no way I could have done that service. So the message I wanted to give is that even at that time, one of the first instructions given to the new devotees was, don't write Srila Prabhupada any letters. Because there's so many devotees who can answer those questions, and his time is being utilized for spreading this movement. So why should he have to answer these same questions which have been answered hundreds of times? And you may notice even at that time he would give lectures, no questions after the class either. So Prabhupada wasn't really, how do you say, like a sentimental person. He didn't have a false ego like us where we feel the need to make another person, how would you say, I want to speak nice about you so that you don't feel bad about me. But it's very practical and didn't waste any time. So in that mood, I served, and most of these new devotees, we served like that, just doing whatever was necessary. Wash the pots, distribute books, and still we got mercy. Even it was very difficult if you wanted to. I was in Chicago, which was a little larger temple, and you never see Prabhupada Maha. So, such a small thing you would think, because there's so many senior devotees coming down, there's no way Maha is going to come down to the devotees joining at that time. So, but still mercy was there. I also thought personally, I said, I wanted Maha and I wanted to be able to go to a darshan. And Prabhupada, kind enough, those are long stories, but I was able to get some Maha, and I was able to be in his room for a couple hours. Even with just me and him there, put my head on his feet, even. And he allowed me to do that, which was, in a sense, Brahmananda was telling me when I served them in Africa, we were discussing these things, and he mentioned, you put your head on Prabhupada's feet? He said, I saw a devotee do that in Vrindavan. He chastised him so severely. So it must have been a senior devotee. I was such a junior devotee. In the same time, sitting in his room, he said he didn't like devotees sitting around doing nothing. So he was very compassionate to everyone, and especially the newer people. So now there's grand disciples, great grand disciples, and many of us may be feeling like, well, even in relation to our own guru, oh, I'll never get any association with my Guru Maharaj. He doesn't give me any personal instructions. Actually, in a sense, that's not even really necessary. That's the point I want to make. Even though joining at that time in 74, I always felt very close to Prabhupada, and he also reciprocates. So the most important thing for us at this moment is to continue expanding this Krishna conscious movement. I came here in 1977, and there was probably only 200-300 Western devotees here. Now you can't even get into the temple room. Back then it looked like it was too big. Now it's too small, isn't it? So we go on with that, and at the same time, I think really Kirtanananda said this, but everybody says Prabhupada said, we can work now and we can samadhi later. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Thank you, Sikhi Mahiti. Who's next? Okay, Gopal Krishna Maharaj. Make his offering. After Gopal Krishna Maharaj, we're having Vyasaki Prabhu, then Mother Narayani.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So today we are celebrating Prabhupada's 39th disappearance day. And as we know, this year we're also celebrating the Golden Jubilee of ISKCON Incorporation. Last year we celebrated the Golden Jubilee of Prabhupada's departure from India. We discussed how Prabhupada struggled to establish Krishna consciousness. We discussed how on his journey to America, he had 2 heart attacks. He was giving up hope. And then the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said, "Don't worry, your mission will be successful." And after Prabhupada came to America, he had to struggle even over there. There was a point in New York where he didn't have a permanent residence, old typewriter. And as we know, Prabhupada left India with 40 rupees, which was about $7 at that time. And on the journey to America, he sold a Bhagavatam set, first canto, to the captain of the ship, Pandey, for $20. So Prabhupada landed in America with just $20 and another $7 that he took from India. Prabhupada met one Mr. Rubin in New York, and at that time Prabhupada virtually had nothing. But Prabhupada was asked, "What do you do?" Prabhupada said, "The temples, devotees, only time is separating them." So Prabhupada was the empowered representative that Lord Chaitanya selected to fulfill his prediction. The Lord's prediction was that the holy name will be chanted in every town and village of the world. When Prabhupada left the planet, ISKCON had about 120 centers, but now there are more than 650 centers. So Prabhupada is continuing to guide us. Prabhupada's instructions are very clear in his books, recordings, writings, and we should all dedicate ourselves to Prabhupada's teachings. Prabhupada did not give any secret mantra or secret instructions to everyone. Everything was open in his books. And these books have immense potency. Last month I was in southern Russia, and I was in the house of a very prominent personality. So I asked him, how did he come to Krishna consciousness? He said someone gave him a book, a Krishna book. He started reading the Krishna book. He was convinced Krishna is God. He explored further, and now he's become a good devotee. So there's innumerable examples of this type. And Prabhupada's movement is being appreciated more and more by leaders around the world. For example, recently we received a letter from the President of India who praised ISKCON as follows. Prabhupada said, ISKCON is my body. So praising ISKCON means praising Srila Prabhupada. You want to hear what he said? The ISKCON, Hare Krishna. Interrupt, break. Well, we have to wait for the generator. Hare Krishna. Can I wait for the... Later. Hare Krishna. So this is a letter written by the President of India to ISKCON. And then, as I said, praising ISKCON means praising Prabhupada. But Prabhupada said ISKCON is my body. So I'm just going to read extracts from the President's letter. The ISKCON movement has few parallels in the world in terms of its rapid global spread, its transnational, trans-ethnic, and trans-professional appeal, its outward simplicity, and the devotional energy of its followers. It is a tribute to the resolute spirit of the followers of ISKCON that they have sustained their presence all over the world for so many decades. We also recently received a letter from the Prime Minister praising ISKCON and Srila Prabhupada for having spread Lord Krishna's message all over the world. So what Prabhupada did is unparalleled in history. He took Krishna consciousness everywhere. He was determined. He fought like Arjuna and traveled like Narada to every corner of the globe. After establishing Krishna consciousness in Europe, in America, Europe, and India, Prabhupada went to the former Soviet Union. Only 5 days he planted the seed that has continued to grow. So we can still associate with Prabhupada by associating with his instructions. As I said earlier, his instructions are very clear. And Prabhupada was that transcendental magician who brought everyone to Krishna consciousness. And here in Vrindavan, there was an astrologer, there was a magician who came to Prabhupada's room, and he was placing things on Prabhupada's desk and then making them disappear. So he asked Prabhupada, "So how do you like my magic?" Prabhupada said, "Very good. But can you make birth and death disappear?" And he said, "No." Prabhupada said, "I can, so I'm a better magician than you." So Prabhupada was a transcendental magician who gave everyone the holy name. Prabhupada was talking to a devotee. Prabhupada said the purpose of reading all these books is to realize that we have to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Once there was a lady in Delhi. Prabhupada asked her, "Do you chant the holy name?" She said, "I'm chanting Swamiji 24 hours. You know what that means. So Prabhupada said, "How do you chant?" She said, "Mentally." Prabhupada said, "When you're hungry, you eat mentally or physically?" And she said, "Physically." So Prabhupada said, "Then you also have to chant loudly, physically." So Prabhupada gave us this unique, matchless gift of Krishna consciousness. We should take it seriously and give this message to everyone, and that will please Prabhupada. Prabhupada wanted this movement to go down in history as a movement that has changed the direction of the world. So we have a great challenge ahead of us. Prabhupada wanted us to manage our temples nicely, and he wanted this message to spread because this is the only way by which people can be happy. So we have this unique gift that we have received due to Prabhupada's mercy. And it's our duty that we give this message to others and make them fortunate also. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Bol.
Thank you, Gopal Krishna Maharaj ki jai. Next, I'd like to ask Vyasaki Prabhu. After Vyasaki Prabhu, Mother Narayani, then Pancharatna Prabhu, then Burijan Prabhu.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Today, on this very auspicious day, where everyone is remembering you and thinking of you so deeply, I want to make a sankalpa. I want to make a promise to improve my devotional service. I want to improve my sincerity, my dedication, my commitment. I want to take my devotional service to the next higher level. I want to make advancement because you always asked us to become more and more advanced. And so I want to imbibe the essence of the Bhagavad-Gita in my life. And in 1977, on your last trip to the West, in England at the Bhaktivedanta Manor, you asked, what is the essence of Bhagavad-Gita? And different devotees raised their hands, giving different shlokas. And then Prabhupada gave the essence, Sarva dharman parityaja mamekang sharanam vraja aham tvang sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma suchaha. This is the essence of Bhagavad Gita, that we just forget all the other dharmas and we just embrace Bhagavad Dharma, Krishna consciousness. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks confidential knowledge, more confidential knowledge, and the most confidential knowledge. And the most confidential knowledge is only 2 shlokas, Manmana Bhava Madbhakto and Sarva Dharman Parityaja. And so I studied that purport. And Prabhupada says in that purport that previously Krishna has given so many dharmas, so many instructions to Arjuna. And now he's saying, forget all those instructions and just surrender unto me. Forget all those other dharmas. Even in the beginning of the 18th chapter, Krishna says there's certain dharmas that you don't give up. That's in the more confidential. But in the most confidential knowledge, he says you give them up. You just surrender unto me. And this is what Prabhupada explains in the purport. So, what does it mean just to surrender to Krishna? So we heard it means exclusive devotion and trust in Krishna, masuchaha, no doubts, no worries. But it also, how do I put that into practice? And my realization is that I put it into practice Das, 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 anudas. I have to become the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of the servants of Sri Krishna. And Krishna explains the very famous shloka that if you say you're my devotee, I may not accept you as my devotee, but if you're the devotee of my devotee, then I accept you. So I want to become the devotee of the devotees. I want to finish with aparad. No more aparad. I want to finish with fault finding. No more fault finding. I just want to be the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. This is my sankalpa. Srila Prabhupada, please bless me that I may fulfill this. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Vyasaki Prabhu. Now we have Mother Narayani, then Pancharatna Prabhu, Burijan Prabhu, then His Holiness Navi Yogendra Maharaj. fast, really. Not really.
Ranasya Gananjala Shalakaya Chakshumilitam Yana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Srila Prabhupada was in Vrindavan living very peacefully, Radha Damodar temple. But he left Vrindavan just to save us. In an early lecture when he was in Dr. Mishra's studio, he said, "Here I'm sitting in New York, the world's greatest city, so magnificent, but my heart is always hankering after that Vrindavan. I'm not happy here. I'll be very happy to return to my Vrindavan." But you might ask, well, why are you here? Because it's my duty. I've brought some message for you people, because I'm ordered by my superior, my spiritual master, that whatever you have learned, you should go to the Western countries and distribute this knowledge. So in spite of all my difficulties, all my inconveniences, I am here because it's my duty. That is my personal convenience. If I go and sit in Vrindavan, I'll be very comfortable there, and I'll have no anxiety, nothing of the sort. But I have taken all the risk in old age because I'm duty bound. So I have to execute my duty in spite of all circumstances. So Prabhupada, he started out in Tompkins Square Park. Prabhupada was remembering, he says, I used to sit down, there was no mridanga, and I was chanting 3 hours, Hare Krishna, and people used to come. Yavayovana said, yeah, it's a very bad neighborhood, very low-class neighborhood. And Prabhupada said, yes, low class, high class, we don't mind. We chant Hare Krishna, that's all. That 22nd Avenue was also not a very good neighborhood. Gyanagamya said, it's the worst place in the country. Prabhupada said, but I did not know. Mukunda suggested, this is a good place. Live here. And actually it happened to be a good place. Gradually all my disciples came. So I had no disturbance. I was living on the Bowery, and on my door all the bums were lying with urine and wine bottles and everything. But they were respectful to me. When I'll come, they'll say, yes, please enter. Come in the door. I had no quarrel with them. They were very kind. They welcomed me. They opened the door. Please go. They also know, oh, he's harmless. So if you remain on the spiritual platform, the material condition cannot hamper you. So now it's up to us to also don't be comfortable, but to carry the message of Srila Prabhupada. When I came first to Vrindavan in 1993-94, I didn't have any service. So I was praying for some service. And I got the inspiration, well, you read all his books so many times, now you should teach, you should share what you learn. But I wanted some confirmation, and this is along the lines of what Mahatma said, that Prabhupada is still with us. So I went to Prabhupada's house, and on Prabhupada's desk, I saw a letter that confirmed that I should teach and I should preach. Prabhupada said to Ranadir, I think that you are one of my senior disciples, and I'm very much relying on you now to carry on this mission with full responsibility. We must become so responsible for seriously practicing this art of Krishna consciousness, because the world is so full of degrading elements of life to drag everyone down and down. And if just a few men can perfect the art, they can save the rest of all the people from the greatest dangers. So I count you and your God brothers among those few men who are treading seriously on the path back to home, back to Godhead. And now we must maintain such exalted position and not fall back by neglecting our highest standards of devotional practice. In this way, what have I introduced into your Western countries, pure love of God, process of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, will go on increasing more and more to have effect by saving others. Otherwise, it will become mechanical and fade away like every other so-called religious movement. So you can understand, I am very much depending on you to become very much convinced yourself of our Krishna philosophy and to take full responsibility for teaching others purely. So after that, I started teaching, after I read this letter. So as Prabhupada did his duty despite all inconveniences, let us serve him also in spite of all inconveniences. And whatever we have learned, even if we have to leave Vrindavan, we should share this with others all over the world. One time Prabhupada was on a morning walk, and a devotee said to Prabhupada, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached all over India, but it seems like he left it for you to preach all over the world. Prabhupada said, yes, and for you. So it is also for us to preach everywhere. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mother Narayani. So we have Pancharatna Prabhu. Burijan Prabhu, then His Holiness Navi Yogendra Maharaj.
Jai Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. I hope you will accept this small poem. What magic there was amidst the hope and fear springing up on the shores of America that year. New worlds opening as old ones wept. A wave of change into which you stepped, bold and fearless, with unshakable faith. Your intense compassion made battle with fate to rescue the world from its hell-bound ride in a small storefront of New York's Lower East Side. You founded ISKCON, now 50 years past, giving form to the vision Lord Gauranga forecast, where in every corner of the globe, every village, every town, every hamlet, every house, Krishna's name resound. Today, as we gather to honor you and celebrate the grace of your qualities which have made ISKCON great, I lay down at your feet, bidding all hesitation be gone. May I remain always your servant in your glorious ISKCON. Srila Prabhupada, Daivashakti Mataji reminded us of your quality as a scientist. How you gave knowledge absolute. She said you didn't experiment. And certainly you never experimented with the truth. But when it came to preaching, to spreading Krishna consciousness, I venture that you were willing to experiment. You were willing to take risks. You were very willing to innovate, to find new ways to spread the holy name of Krishna. In your spirit as a adventurous servant of the Lord, taking all kinds of bold and fearless and risky steps, with just a few words, you could inspire one of your disciples to open new fields in the most dangerous places. Today's world is somewhat different than 50 years ago. But there are still so many uncharted territories. I've been given some service to develop ISKCON online. This is a new world, somewhat dangerous world as well, where there is a lot of distraction. a lot of sinful activity. We've heard that those who would terrorize the world today have made great use of the internet to rally their cause. And we pray that with your blessing, and I ask the blessing of all the devotees assembled here, to bless us, our team, with ISKCON Online, that we may develop new strategies, innovative ways to reach every corner. What was the Brihat Mridangas that are now resounding through your books? May that be expanded through the cyberspace, that every corner of the world, even where devotees have not yet ventured, may receive your message. And those devotees who have received, those people who have received your message, but we devotees moved on, they can reconnect and they can use this facility. So I beg the mercy of you, Srila Prabhupada, and the blessings of all the devotees for ISKCON Online and all other innovative programs that devotees are experimenting with, as you did, to try different ways to spread Krishna consciousness today. Please grace us with success. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Pancharatna Prabhu. I'd like to ask His Grace Burijan Prabhu, then Navyogendra Maharaj, then Nirakula Mataji,
Om Ganatamirandasya Jana Jana Sulakaya Chaksus Militan Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manubhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Sa Pandanti Kam Vansha Kalpa Trubjascha Kripa Sindhu Vayevacha Patitanam Papinevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namah. I would like to mention some of the qualities, 3 qualities of Srila Prabhupada, or 3 of the glorious qualities of Srila Prabhupada. First was, as quite a few devotees mentioned, his preaching spirit. I tend to listen to a lot of the lectures and room conversations of Srila Prabhupada, and he was so focused on preaching, incredibly focused on preaching. And this was in pursuance of his Guru Maharaj's order. And just one example of this, a pastime of Srila Prabhupada's that I witnessed and even took part in, which is very instructive, and I'll tell it very briefly, that in Kobe in Japan in 1972, Srila Prabhupada went to this city, certainly in one small corner of the world, with the purpose of preaching, especially to the local Indian population who had offered to donate a temple. Someone had offered to donate an apartment for a temple, so Prabhupada went there from Tokyo, from Vrindavan all over the world, and then to Tokyo, and then to Kobe, this small port city in Japan, to preach. And somehow or another in that meeting, there was a Mayavadi sannyasi already speaking. And it is incredible pastimes of Srila Prabhupada, but I will just tell it in very brief. Prabhupada spoke first in English, even though it was mostly Hindi-speaking and Sindhi-speaking individuals there. And then after Prabhupada spoke, the Mayavadi sannyasi was going to speak. And he spoke for, the Mayavadi sannyasi spoke for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 35 minutes, 40 minutes. And during that whole time, Prabhupada just sat on the Vyasasana and just rocked back and forth and chanted japa. And then suddenly, after 40 minutes, and this sannyasi was speaking in Hindi, Prabhupada looked at the 5 or 6 of us who were there and suddenly pointed and said, "Stop him." Can you imagine? This is just not done. He said, "Stop him." And then he told us what to do because we had no idea what to do. He said, "Begin kirtan." So in the middle of this Mayavadi sannyasi's speech, we started kirtan. And he stopped speaking. And later on, we went to Prabhupada's room, and Srila Prabhupada was just sitting so peacefully and actually so pleased with himself for what he had done. He was like a cat who had caught a mouse. He was almost purring in happiness. And he was drinking hot milk, and His Holiness Banu Swami, then Banu Brahmachari, was serving him. And we asked Prabhupada, because what happened? You listened to him for 40 minutes and then suddenly stop him? And Prabhupada was not fanatical. He said, for the first while, he was preaching all right. But then he started explaining Panchupasana, that there are 5 different gradations of devatas, one after another. And then he explained up to Lord Shiva. And then he said, beyond this form, there is formlessness. And Prabhupada said, when he said that, I could not tolerate it. I could not tolerate it. Because Prabhupada wanted to give the people of this world Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He had spent his life's energy giving Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, preaching. This was his mission. This was his spirit. Tirelessly, he preached and preached and preached. And this person was saying, beyond form, there is formlessness only? He would not tolerate it. He was a lover of Krishna, and that was the secret, and a servant of his Guru Maharaj, and that was the secret of his preaching spirit. And yet, second quality I wish to speak about, he was unlimitedly tolerant. When one preaches, he said one has to be tolerant, otherwise one cannot preach. And especially, dare I say it, he had to be tolerant with his disciples. Another incident in Japan. Prabhupada had arrived from Hong Kong, and after a long flight, and he sat on the small Vyasasana in the Tokyo temple in Asakawa-cho. And at the end, he spoke briefly, and the deities were there. He spoke briefly, and he had asked Kartikeya Prabhu to prepare some kachoris, or perhaps some samosa. Shingara. So then Kartikeya brought those to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was just about to eat. And one of his disciples, who of all names, his name was Romaharshana, he said to Prabhupada, I thought that you're not supposed to take prasadam in front of the deities. This is Shastra. I read it in your book. And Prabhupada, with a perfect heart of a Vaishnava gentleman, and in a spirit that was so sweet, he said, yes, there is a Vedic injunction that one should not take prasadam in front of the deities. But there is another injunction that when one is offered prasadam, one should take it immediately. And then he took the samosa. And he, how tolerant. A million examples, billions of examples of what he had to tolerate, and also what the followers of Prabhupada had to tolerate to serve Prabhupada, and also all the followers of Prabhupada. We have to tolerate amanina mana dena kirtaniya sadhari, otherwise we cannot preach. And just the third simple point was about Prabhupada's books and Krishna Katha. He explained, and I was just reading this morning, in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, just as Prabhupada was beginning speaking about the 10th canto, he explained the importance of Krishna Katha. And he says that this is the mission of Krishna consciousness. The mission, the purpose of Krishna consciousness is to be absorbed in Krishna Katha, hearing and chanting about Krishna. And he said this is what preaching is basically, and this is the importance of book distribution. It is to give people the opportunity to hear about Krishna, to read about Krishna, to chant about Krishna. So Prabhupada said here in his purport to the third verse in the first canto of the first chapter of the 10th canto, he said, anyone, and please listen to this because it's what Prabhupada wishes to tell us, or one of the things he wishes to tell us. Anyone who becomes even slightly interested in Krishna consciousness is liberated. Kirtanadeva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Brajet. Simply by chanting or repeating Krishna Katha, one is liberated from the contaminations of Kali Yuga. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore advised Yari Deka Tarikaha Krishna Upadesh. So he's connecting preaching with Krishna Katha, with speaking Krishna Katha. And then he says, he concludes this purport by saying, this is the mission of Krishna consciousness, to hear about Krishna and thus be liberated from material bondage. And then in the next verse he says, simply, since merely talking about Krishna is so pleasing, we can simply imagine how pleasing it is to render service to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada's tolerance ki jai. Srila Prabhupada's preaching spirit ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Thank you, Burijan Prabhu. I'd like to invite His Holiness Navayogendra Maharaj. After Navayogendra Maharaj, His Grace Gargamuni Prabhu, then Nirakula Mataji.
नमा ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमद् भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारणे टुगेदर जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवसदि गौर भक्त वृंदा लौडर हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे. Dear devotees, brothers and mothers, young and old, thank you very much. Everybody is welcome. This day, Prabhupada left for Gaulok Vrindavan. I want to remind myself and to all of you the unique gift of Srila Prabhupada. What is the gift of Srila Prabhupada? Srila Prabhupada didn't concoct anything of his own. He presented the scriptures as it is Bhagavad-Gita, as it is the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, as it is Bhagavatam. So, in the Bhagavatam, what is mentioned? Save pumso paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaye ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. This is the duty of all of us, all the living beings, to perform devotion service to Sri Krishna. And devotional service to Sri Krishna should be unmotivated and uninterrupted. And Lord Chaitanya, what he said? Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam ba jagadish kame, mam janmani, janmani ishvare, bhavatad bhaktir ahaitukitoi. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. Then what do you want? I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth. Devotees, if we want to accomplish the mission of this human form of life, we must take this to our heart, what Srila Prabhupada has given. Prabhupada was a Mahabhagavat, a pure devotee, but Prabhupada has given, nobody has given and nobody is giving and nobody, I think, gave in the future. Srila Prabhupada gave us unalloyed devotional service to Sri Krishna. Why I am here? Krishna bhuliya jiva bhogavamsha kare, pashete maya tare jhapatiya dhare. The reason I am here because I wanted to enjoy independent of Krishna. This spirit is there because I am a contaminated person, contaminated soul. I still want to enjoy. But Prabhupada, thank Krishna that he was sent by Krishna. Srila Prabhupada was sent by Krishna to remind us, don't try to make a permanent home in a temporary situation. Just try to get out of here. We can only get out of here if we learn to follow the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada's teachings are devotional service to Sri Krishna, which should be unmotivated and uninterrupted. Without devotion, why whole world is suffering? Because we are away from Krishna. When there is no devotion, there is no emotion, no bhava. When there is no emotion, only commotion, problems. And then there will be no promotion to the spiritual world. We should all remember this notion. Devotion is very, very important. And the greatest gift of Srila Prabhupada is the devotion. We serve Krishna without any motivation, devotion service. This is Bhagavatam is saying, Lord Chaitanya is saying, and Lord Krishna, what is saying? Lord is saying that just worship me. Manmana mad bhakto badhyajimam namaskaru mame veshasi yuktave mat manam mat parayana. Just become my devotee, pay your obeisance unto me, come to my shelter, then you will come to me. This is what Prabhupada has repeated, and Prabhupada, see, he has full faith, total faith in Krishna. He went to US with $7 only, but his heart was filled with the devotion and emotion. That's why he was able to give this devotion, bhakti, to the whole world. I like to remind myself and to all of you, let us try to become a devotee so that we won't come back to this miserable material world which is full of problems, birth, death, old age and disease, so many difficulties. This material world is full of dirty politics. If we become devotee of Krishna, take a little trouble to become devotee of Krishna, then we will be able to remember. Then at the time of our departing from this material world, Krishna, then that is the mission of life. Antakalesh mameva smarana muktva kalevaram ya prayati samadbhavam yati nasat yatra sanshaya. Lord is saying, anyone who remembers me at the time of departing from this material world, definitely he will attain to my nature. He will come to me. There is no doubt in this. But devotees, we are so much into sense gratification, we can't give up. I like to tell one happening in Nairobi. Srila Prabhupada was speaking on the same subject. If one remembers Krishna at the time of death, he will go to Krishna. So one Mr. Patel said, Swamiji, this is very good. Prabhupada said, what's that? Or during your lifetime you enjoy the life, and at the time of death you remember Krishna. Prabhupada said, during your lifetime you are enjoying, then you can't remember Krishna at the time of death. Those enjoyment, dirty enjoyments will come before you and take you to the hell. Actually, there is no enjoyment here. So Srila Prabhupada's gift is a devotion and should be unmotivated, uninterrupted, no motivation. Srila Prabhupada mentioned that Krishna consciousness meant Vairagya. This movement is meant to practice Vairagya. Prabhupada said one who is not interested yet in developing Vairagya could not be maintained by the society. Otherwise, the whole institution would become weakened. So I humbly pray to all of you, my God brothers and sisters, all the disciples, the grand disciples, please take to this gift of Srila Prabhupada to your heart, serve Krishna without any motivation, and by Prabhupada's mercy, by the mercy of Gaur-Nitai, Radha Shyam Sundar, our lives will become successful. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Naviyogendra Maharaj, thank you. I'd like to invite His Grace Garga Muni Prabhu, then Mother Nirakula, then Dina Bandhu Prabhu. Sleeping.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees who are preaching all over the world. On this day, departure day of Srila Prabhupada from this physical world, on that day we were all lamenting for the physical presence of Srila Prabhupada. But after that day, we were getting solace by seeing Prabhupada's deity in the temple, by reading his books, by hearing his lectures, by seeing his pictures, by seeing his videos. In this way, the lamentation was somewhat receded because we were associating Prabhupada through all the transcendental different aspects of devotional service. But I must inform you that there was another temporary departure of Prabhupada in 1967 when he had his stroke and he left for India, practically telling us that he didn't know if he would return or not. But at this time, we didn't have any books of Prabhupada. We didn't have a deity of Prabhupada. We did have a painting of Prabhupada. We had tapes, but no way of making copies. We didn't have the technology to make copies of the tapes. And the devotees
were so much attached to the physical presence of Srila Prabhupada that when he was going to leave for India and maybe never return, this was devastation to the lives of all the young devotees who most were only there for 6 months. In this regard, Brahmananda wrote an article describing the relationship between Srila Prabhupada and the devotees at this time of devastation that existed in our society that happened in July of 1967, which I'd like to read. This was printed in Back to Godhead in 1968, Back to Godhead number 16, where devotees were not sure if Prabhupada would ever return. The article begins, a girl who had been coming to Kirtan wants to be initiated 30 minutes before Swamiji is to leave for the airport. He says yes. So while all the devotees are rushing about making last-minute preparations, white sheet in his room, chanting the Lord's names on her beads, bringing another soul back to Godhead, fulfilling his master's mission up to the last minute, serving Krishna only, always. He emerges from his apartment smiling, as a transcendental mother who has just delivered another child into eternal life. As he has done so many times before, he descends the stairs, taking each step gracefully, and sweeps across the courtyard, a young bride going to join her beloved. Entering the temple before the painting of Guru Maharaj, he offers his obeisances, prostrating himself on the floor humbly as an atom of his lotus feet, and walking to the waiting taxi. He embraces Achyutananda and then Gargamuni, who stoops to touch his forehead to the pavement. Actually, I buried my face in the feet of Srila Prabhupada, who was wearing his famous white rubber shoes that he brought from India. And then I held on to his ankles with my hands, and he tried to get into the taxi, but he could not move because I was holding his ankles, because I did not want to see him get into the taxi and leave us forever. At that time, like a loving father, Srila Prabhupada bent down and slapped me on the back, and with reassuring words said, "That's all right." And then he pulled on my sika very tightly. I once asked him, "What is a sika for?" And he said, "The sika is for pulling the disciple out of the material world." And that's why I keep a very long sika, which is getting thinner and thinner every year by losing hair. Some devotees have already left by subway, and some by our chariot, and some ride with him in the taxi. Brahmananda sits in the front crying, and Swamiji reaches over and slaps him on the back, a father giving his loving son support, a pal, and Ray Rama only rivets his eyes to Swami, ever attentive. And Kirtanananda, sparkling, sits beside the most beautiful man in the world. Swami says in the taxi, there is no question of separation. The sound vibration fixes us up all together, even though the material body may not be there. What do we care for this material body? Just go on chanting Hare Krishna, and we will be packed up together. You will be chanting here, and I will be chanting there. And this vibration will circulate the planet. And Swamiji says, I may be going, but Guru Maharaj and Bhakti Vinod are there. I have asked them to kindly take care of all of you, my transcendental children. The grandfather always takes care of the children much better than the father. Do not fear, unquote. And Swami says, quote, I think this is what Krishna desires. I have come to you, but now in this old age, I may be going there to Vrindavan, and you may be coming there to me and be trained up, and we will spread this movement all over the world. Ray Rama, you will go to England. Brahmananda, you want to go to Japan or Russia? That's all right. And Swamiji says, when Kirtananda sees Vrindavan, he will not be able to understand how could I have left that place to come to this place. It is so nice. There are no motor cars. They are like here, rushing, whoosh, whoosh, and smelling. Only there is Hare Krishna. Everybody always chanting. Thousands and thousands of temples. I will show you, Kirtananda. We will walk all about there, and I will show you, unquote. And Swamiji says, quote, I can understand you feeling separation. I am feeling for my Guru Maharaj. As the cab pulls up to the terminal, the chariot also pulls up behind it. And devotees pour out, chanting, cymbals clashing, and chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Ram into the Air India terminal. And the ticket man runs out from behind his protective counter and demands excitedly, what is the meaning of this? We want to ride in your airplane, one devotee says. Oh, yes, yes, I see, says the man. Air India? Asked Prabhupada. Asked Swamiji. El Al? Says the man. He misunderstood Prabhupada. He thought he said El Al, which is Israeli airline. Misunderstanding, thinking the robed brahmacharis to be Arabs of some kind. El Al is over there. No, Air India. We want to go India. Oh, yes, yes, I see. And Kirtananda stands at the counter while Swamiji sits in a nearby chair chanting, dispatching all the paper business. Kirtananda, a beautiful young American brahmachari in his black suit and red tie and his budding flag. He gives the man his passport, and the man looks at the identification picture taken 2 years ago of a bearded, run-down youth, and now at this beautiful brahmachari standing before him. Are you sure you are Keith Gordon Ham? That was taken before I met the Swami. I have changed. Yes, yes, I see. Upstairs, we all go to the lounge, the milling people spreading apart, and Swamiji sits in a chair, and all his disciples nestled together at his feet. Kirtananda, why not play the record? They will enjoy. And Swamiji sits and looks at all the awestruck people and smiles at the unforgettable oceanic smile. So the portable phonograph is set up, and Hare Krishna, Hare Ram is vibrated, filling what was a lounge with Satchitananda. Devotees dance and sing, and Swamiji, enthroned, just smiles contently. When that record ends, Hansadutta asks, should we collect? And Prabhupada says, why not? Says Swamiji. So Hansadutta jumps up and says, our mission is to spread Krishna consciousness. We have a temple in New York and we are always badly in need of money. Please help us. and a solitary soldier steps forward and offers Hansaduta his hat. So Hansaduta goes around to all the people that are waiting, standing by the bar, drinking and smoking intoxicants, killing both time and themselves, and allows them to be benefited by sacrificing for God's service. And the soldiers' hats becomes filled with dollars and coins. And Swamiji says, our traveling is very auspicious beginning. We had nice kirtan and a nice collection. It is all Krishna's mercy. And a young airport exec on the move rushes over and says that collections are not allowed in the terminal, while the bar cash register rings. But you are collecting, says Brahmananda. Yes, this is the age of Kali, says Swamiji. The other side of the record is played, and the devotees cry and cry. Swamiji leans over and looks into Goshunda's pained eyes and says, everything's all right, in the way that only Swamiji can say it, which automatically makes everything all right. And Swamiji turns to admire steadfast Rupanuga. In fact, Rupanuga's wife is here. Where's Kalindi? Is she here? She came. Oh, there she is. I knew her in 1966. She's also an original devotee. You look like Rupa Goswami, Prabhupada said. Very beautiful. Himavati, you must come to Vrindavan and carry a water pot on your head, just like the Indian girls there in the picture. Can you learn that? That will be nice. Nice young village girls. You look beautiful, Swamiji, says Brahmananda. Oh, no trace of disease? Asked Swamiji. No, you're beautiful. Kirtan makes it go away. Prabhupada says, that's all right. And then Swamiji says, when Vivekananda came to this country, his picture was taken with so many old ladies. I have seen it circulated in India. And Swamiji smiles knowingly. Suddenly the time arrives for Swamiji to leave. The disciples prostrate themselves, declaring their obeisances. Swamiji arises and pats them on the head, a mother blessing her brood. Swamiji goes silent, and sad Jadharani and clasps her chin with his kind hand. You are doing very nicely. You go on doing your painting work. It is very great service you are doing, for Krishna will be pleased. Then he glides out the door, and the devotees swarm after him like a protective drone bees following their queen. The devotees try to get past the gate and go with their master, but the guard prevents them. Advaita sees a door that promises the observation deck, but which is barred by a shiny steel turnstile, demanding a dime, 10 cents. The devotees stuck under and jump over the gate like an army storming a barricade. Outside, a gentle rain is washing the airfield, and the devotees race across the wet deck, and there below are Swamiji and Kirtananda walking across the field. The devotees scream, Krishna, Krishna, and Swamiji turns and waves, then climbs the movable stairway. On the top, he turns and uplifts his arms, pausing for a long moment, blessing his transcendental children, standing there majestic, having come to this iron land, sown the seed of Hare Krishna, a space-age Narada Muni, saffron and beautiful Gauranga. Our master, our friend, our father, our mother, our child, our sweetheart is gone. The devotees cry frantically. They can only utter Hare Krishna. A pack of madmen not caring for anyone, loving, chanting, increasing the ocean of transcendental bliss, jumping up and down, gorging themselves with the taste of full nectar, which is their only desire, bhaktas, the greatest of all yogis. And out pops Kirtananda from inside the plane onto the platform. And he stands there and dances to Hare Krishna, dancing while all around him are the whines of the great airliners and the scurry of the attendant vehicles and scampering around crews. The flashing lights and evening rain, dancing arms uplifted, beseeching the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the devotees dance with him. Their Prabhu, tears of love decorating their eyes, flowing in torrents for all of us in ecstasy. A stewardess reaches out of the plane and taps Kirtananda on the shoulder several times before he realizes, and he dances into the plane, and the plane is sealed. The motors whine, the tail flaps move, the lights flash, and the devotees scream and cry. Damodar growing out, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, and Advaita clashing his cymbals wildly like a machine running out of control. The devotees pull back as the exhaust blasts out from the plane. But Jodharani stays there, the smoke and the gas and the heat singeing her face, dancing and choking Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. With a great roar, the airliner moves forward, and the devotees rush to the railing and then run down the deck screaming, Krishna, Krishna, as the plane moves away from its roost into the night and becomes only a distant light. The devotees wait and watch. It has stopped raining. Govinda says the raindrops are the tears that the gopis are shedding for their Krishna, and we can understand that. The devotees wait and wait, but they cannot see the plane. Their eyes are not able to see it, but they know it is there. And the devotees wait and watch until one devotee says, let's go back, and they walk off reluctantly, looking behind, trying to see, but not being able to see. And the next morning at Kirtan, Brahmananda reads, I do not know anyone except Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain as such, even if he handles me roughly in his embrace, or he may make me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything, but he's always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. That was Brahmananda's article. I had asked Prabhupada, I was correlating back to Godhead at the time when he came down the stairs, and I asked Prabhupada, should I come to the airport or should I keep correlating back to Godhead? And he says, no, you keep doing your devotional service. Then you are eternally in contact with me. So I sat down and again correlating. After I went outside to, okay, 1 minute. After I went out to touch his ankles, I came back and started correlating. But then the tears started coming down, and I was smearing the ink on the back to Godhead. So I had to stop correlating the back to Godhead until I could get myself normal again. Anyway, this was the article that devastated all of the devotees at that time who were missing the personal and physical appearance of the greatest devotee of this age. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gargamuni Prabhu. To be continued, maybe this evening, but thank you very much. I'd like to ask His Grace Bhavananda Prabhu to speak, then Mother Nirkula, Dina Bandhu, His Grace Bhakti Vaidurya Govinda Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. So I'll only be 5 minutes. I'm under strict orders. I'd like to tell a few just little stories. I was just speaking to the Russian devotees, and I was telling them how I can only speak from my own experience in my dealings with Prabhupada, how Prabhupada used to pick us up and then throw us down, and then pick us up and then throw us down. So I'll tell you a few stories which are good examples. One day, Prabhupada used to walk on the roof, around the roof of the Lotus building. So he was walking up the stairs, and we were all behind him, and he stopped, and he said, "Our Bhavanand is the best manager." He said, "He keeps everything neat and clean." So I was, wow, I'm the best manager. You heard him, Prabhupada just said. So then he's walking around the roof, and in one corner of the building on the roof, there was some wind, and there was a little pile of leaves and, just bric-a-brac, not very big. Prabhupada walked around, and when he got to that southwest corner, he stopped, and he took up his cane, and he pointed at this litter, small pile of flower petals and things. And he turned, and in front of everyone, where he had just told me, "I'm the best manager," then in front of everyone, he turns and he looks at, and he says to me, "This is your management. Dirt everywhere." Another time, I had a beard, I was doing Chaturmas Brata, and I was in Prabhupada's room, and he was looking at me like this, looking at me. He said, "You look like Pancham George, King George V, the King of England." Oh, I never speak in the mic. "You look like Pancham George, the King of England. Do you know him?" I said, "I've heard of him, Prabhupada." He said, "You look just like him." He said, "I saw him and his wife, Queen Mary, in 1912. They did a tour of India, and they were in Calcutta, and they gave us the day off of school, and they gave us little flag, British flag, and a box lunch of 2 kachoris and a sandesh." And he said, as they went by in their carriage, we all waved our flag. He said, "And you look just like him." Well, I was happy. I looked like a king. I looked like a king. The next day, again, I'm in Prabhupada's room, I'm adjusting something. Prabhupada looks at me, he says, "You look just like Ram Krishna Paramhansa." I said, "Oh no, Prabhupada, not him." He said, "Yes, you look just like him." So one day I'm a king, boom, the next day I'm a Mayavad. This is how he wrapped us up in ropes of love. Another time, seeing Gargamuni reminded me of this story. Prabhupada was walking in Mayapur and he was saying, "Oh, build this and build that and do this and do that." And I said, "Prabhupada, where's the money?" Boom. Prabhupada stopped, put down his cane and looked at me. He said, "Why you are always worried for money? You do not think Lord Chaitanya will provide for his preaching?" So later that morning, I got a call, "Prabhupada wants to see you." So I was very happy. I'm going into Prabhupada's room. I'm telling you these stories not to make you think that I'm some kind of special devotee, but this is just like it happened.
So I was very happy. I walked into Prabhupada's room, paid my obeisances, stood up, and I had a big smile on my face. And Prabhupada looked at Gargamuni Maharaj and Tamal Krishna Maharaj were sitting there, and he said, our Bhavanand is a real Vaishnav, joyful at every moment. And I said, no, Prabhupada, I'm only joyful upon seeing you. He said, that's all right, sit down. So I sat down, and Prabhupada said, our Bhavanand is always worried for money. He said to Gargamuni and Tamal, he said, actually, he said, collecting money is easy. It's flying through the air. You just reach out your hand and grab it. He said, but spending money for developing Mayapur and in the service of Lord Chaitanya, that is very difficult, and Bhavanand is expert in that. So I was in ecstasy. I was ecstatic. Wow. Prabhupada said, I really know how to spend money. The next day, I stayed back in the temple to make preparations, because when Prabhupada would come back, as most of you know, he'd have darshan of Radha Madhava, go around the deities 3 times, ring the bell. There'd be a big kirtan, and then he'd give class. So I saw as they were coming down the road, Achyutananda Swami, he was running ahead, all excited. And when he saw me in the temple, he said, come here, come here. I said, what's wrong? He said, you would not believe what Prabhupada just said about you. I said, what? He said, he just said he is living in the marble palace, spending money like an irresponsible prince. So from one day, I know how to spend money, the next day I'm just wasting it. And my response was, Jai Prabhupada, my spiritual master really knows me. So in this way, up and down, it was always wonderful. Whether you were up, it was wonderful. When you were down, it was wonderful. It was all ecstatic, joyful, and loving. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Bhavananda Prabhu. Now Mother Nirkula, Dinabandhu Prabhu, Bhakti Madhurya Govinda Maharaj, and then Satyanarayan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I'm honored to be here with all of my God sisters and God brothers and the esteemed devotees here in this congregation. Thank you. I'd just like to express my gratitude for all the devotees in Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON, the devotees who have taken on the responsibility of being GPCs, temple presidents, other managers, the preachers, the pot washers, the street sweepers, the editors, the devotees who have translated Srila Prabhupada's books into so many languages. We can't forget that we are a preaching movement. That's what we're all about. We can't get comfortable and just think we're done. We have to continue to preach. One of the things, when Gargamuni Prabhu was talking about what gave us solace after Srila Prabhupada left, one of the things that also still gives us solace, along with those things, is all of you. Seeing how Srila Prabhupada's movement is continuing, seeing how you are all taken to heart this Sankirtan movement, how you have a taste for hearing and chanting and reading Srila Prabhupada's books and sharing it with others. That gives us solace. That inspires us. That deepens my faith. And I'm so grateful to all of you. I'm fortunate enough to be a part of a community in California. It's called ISKCON Silicon Valley, where we have a few Srila Prabhupada's disciples, but we also have many other disciples of several different gurus, and we all work beautifully together. It's a wonderful, wonderful community. And on Prabhupada's appearance day, we give our offerings, and there's so many that we have to continue it on the following Saturday, so that all of the devotees, second generation, third generation, can also share their realizations. I don't think that's going to happen today here, but I want to encourage all of you to share your realizations with us and with each other, your personal connections with Srila Prabhupada, because we know you all have them. So, thank you very much. All glories to the assembled devotees.
Thank you, Mother Nirakula. So I'd like to ask His Holiness Bhakti Madhurya Govinda Maharaj first, then Dina Bandhu Prabhu, Satyanarayan, then Moksha Lakshmi Mataji. Maharaj. You're up. I put you on now. I always make Maharaj wait, so I want to bring him on board.
I should go?
Yes, you're next.
Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Shravaniti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharani Nivesi Sashani Varibaska Jari Sitarane. Dear Srila Prabhupada, offering my Dandavat Pranams. First, I want to offer my Dandavat Pranams to all of your disciples, my God brothers, God sisters, and all the assembled devotees that some Prabhus have pointed out are your most glorious accomplishment, making something out of nothing. So I take the dust from the feet of all the Vaishnavas, and Vaishnavis also I put on my head, because I'll never forget that there was one Vaishnavi who was giving class in Mayapur, senior devotee, and I was doing deity service, so I was listening on the radio, and she said, whenever my mind becomes disturbed, I just dive deep into the Srimad Bhagavatam. I was struck with wonder. I thought, wow, that's amazing. I immediately felt like this person, I should take their feet and put my head under their feet. Of course, that's not socially acceptable, not a proper thing, but in my heart I thought, this is very wonderful. Oh, Srila Prabhupada, look what you have created, such a wonderful thing. So I want to speak about the first time I met you, Srila Prabhupada. I was a friend of Guru Das, our God brother Guru Das, and his hobby was photographer. So he was married to the famous Jamuna Devi in those days, and so he had an apartment in San Francisco. We're talking about 1967. And so I used to go to his apartment sometimes, and I'd see there were photographs everywhere. The walls were completely plastered, wallpapered with photographs with only one subject matter, and that was you, Srila Prabhupada. He didn't take pictures or anything else. I was a contaminated non-devotee, newcomer to Krishna consciousness. I thought, my God, there's so many beautiful things in this world. How come this Prabhu is so, this devotee, he's so, you could say, fanatic. He's taking pictures only of the Swami and nothing else. I had no love for you yet, Srila Prabhupada. I couldn't understand. So later, when you arrived at the airport in San Francisco in 1968, for I was to take initiation that year. And at the airport, there was no security in those days. So all the devotees making pathways of rose petals, and it was sort of a ragtag group, some hippies and different people combined together. And so there was we were waiting for your plane, Srila Prabhupada. Then finally I saw some devotees coming off the plane wearing flower garlands. I thought, oh, the Swami must be coming soon, because he wasn't called Prabhupada yet. That was introduced by later Govinda-dasi, our god sister. I'll just digress for a moment. I'll say that she asked, Swamiji, it seems like that's too familiar. It seems like we should call you something more respectful than Swamiji. And very quietly, very shyly, very reluctantly, he said, well, you can call me Srila Prabhupada. So it's by the mercy of Govinda-dasi that we are calling our Prabhupada. So I had no conception, I had wrong conception of him, of the Swami. But when he appeared suddenly at the landing of the stairs at the airport, it was wonderful. I'd never seen such a sight. Oh, Srila Prabhupada, you were glowing like millions of suns. You raised your arms in the air and you welcomed this ragtag group of devotees with so much love. I felt the tsunami of love broadcasting from your heart, your prem broadcasting from your heart. It hit me like a tsunami. It knocked me over internally. I mean, I didn't physically fall over, but internally it knocked me over. I was just struck with wonder. And I had been a university student and I was not a sentimentalist. But when that tsunami of your love, Srila Prabhupada, when it hit me, it knocked me over and I burst into tears. This was uncharacteristic for me. I burst into tears. I thought, oh, you are not ordinary. This is not ordinary human being, cannot be. This person has come to deliver the whole world. I had heard of the concept of a Messiah, that person who would deliver the whole world. And I thought to myself, oh, this person is the Messiah. Of this there's no doubt. So I just felt instant love for you also, Srila Prabhupada. I felt instant love for you. And I was overpowered by your love. And after that, in that moment, and this is exactly what it says in the Shastra, in that moment, all my doubts, all my fears, everything finished. And I had love for you. And so I'm eternally grateful that you opened my heart in that way. And now I've never said this in public before, but I will confess something because it's embarrassing, and that's why I've never said it in public before. But in Los Angeles, a few years later, you would come before Rukmini Dwarkadish, and you would offer your Dandavat Pranams in front of Rukmini Dwarkadish. I was about, maybe 2-3 year devotee, something like that. So I thought, I was very shy. In those days, Brahmananda, and there was a phalanx of a stockade of dandas around Srila Prabhupada already, and I felt intimidated. I was afraid to go into Prabhupada's garden. I used to look through a knothole in the wall to Prabhupada's garden. I could have gone in. I had a little seniority, but I was embarrassed. So I was very much feeling like that. I'll never get a chance, I thought, to put your lotus feet on my head. So I did some cheating, which is strictly forbidden. Strictly forbidden. Don't ever imitate this with your Guru Maharaj. Don't ever imitate. It's strictly forbidden. But when Prabhupada offered his Dandavat Pranams in front of the deities, I purposely came up close behind him and I purposely touched my head against his lotus feet while he was offering Dandavat Pranams. Oh no, you're not supposed to do that. Not supposed to do the aparad. You're not supposed to do that in front of the deities. Aparad. Now Prabhupada knew perfectly well what I was doing. He knew perfectly well what he was doing, but he never said a word, ever. He knew what I was doing, he knew why I was doing it, he knew my mood, everything. He never chastised me ever after that, for that incident. He could have, as was pointed out, that sometimes he chastised devotees, but he did not for me like that. So, Srila Prabhupada, your movement is going on, expanding, expanding, expanding. But you told us, as very early on, boil the milk. Boil the milk. Then you can get very nice kheer, or thickened and sweetness. You can get sweetness by boiling the milk. So when we speak of expansion, I'm not worried about the expansion. I've heard some of my godbrothers and godsisters today begging you all to keep this movement going. I'm not worried about that. The movement is expanding as the press made up this. The press made up this slogan, the Hare Krishna explosion, and Prabhupada really liked that. The press made that up, the Hare Krishna, and then Prabhupada really liked that. The press said Hare Krishna is becoming a household word. So Prabhupada really liked that also when they were acknowledging this movement in that way. So I don't have any doubt that this movement is expanding. Actually, you wrote to me, Srila Prabhupada, personally, when I had some doubt during the Cold War about upcoming nuclear war, and not only I, but many devotees had doubt about nuclear war coming. And so I wrote to you about this, and you wrote back to me, nothing can stop this Krishna consciousness movement. Not nuclear war or whatever. No, nothing can stop this movement. And you all sincere devotees, you're carrying on. But we have to be concerned about quality, not just quantity. Because while expanding this movement, what's at the core? What's in the core of our hearts? We have to be concerned about that. It's not how many years I've been chanting Hare Krishna. Somebody can be a 40-year devotee, and their heart can be hard as steel. We see this. A manager, big man, heart cold-hearted. We say, Banchakava Grivascha Kripasindhya Bev, Patitana, Pavanevyo, Vaishnavevyo, Namo Namaha. Who are you? Get out. I don't want to see your face. You're banned. Go. This is going on in the movement, Srila Prabhupada, that you created. You would be horrified, you are horrified to see that there are men that are acting like this. You said, we have spilled so much blood to make one person devotee. Make certain that they do not go away. Make certain that they do not go away. That's your order. But nowadays, there are some managers just ousting devotees mercilessly for political reasons. No. So I'm begging you, Srila Prabhupada, please intervene. Please ask Krishna to rectify. And not to misunderstand that you also, Srila Prabhupada, have created many, many wonderful saints in this movement. And I take the dust from the feet of my godbrothers and godsisters and the saints that you have created and are still creating, I put on my head. I pray that I may do just a fraction of the service that they are doing. But I also pray that we may turn our attention to boiling the milk, to the quality that we are bringing people into, to the quality of society that's supposed to be revolutionary, full of love, mercy, kindness. We have to live that. So I'm praying to you, Srila Prabhupada, please help us create that. Make it happen. I saw in the ISKCON Leadership Sangha, they showed films of new people on the streets of America chanting Hare Krishna first time. So joyful, so happy, so innocent. Shall we lose them later if they find out that there are hard-hearted persons in this movement? No, we cannot. So we must rectify. And we must honor all our saintly godbrothers, saintly devotees, saintly leaders, gurus, everyone. At the same time, we must work hard to upgrade our society for your behalf. Thank you very much.
Bhakti Madhurya Govinda Maharaj. Now the hard-hearted manager is going to limit the time. So, Dinabandhu Prabhu, then we have Satyanarayan and Moksha Lakshmi Mataji.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatiri Satarini Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Panchakalpadrubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaivata Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. So I'm very honored on this day to be here with all my wonderful God sisters and God brothers and sannyasis and all of the wonderful devotees who've come to honor this 39th disappearance day of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Because we are sitting here in this holy dham of Vrindavan. It is the most auspicious month of Kartik. It is the 4th day of the bright half of that month of Kartik. And here in this holy Sri Vrindavan Dham, in this very Sri Sri Krishna Balaram Mandir, Srila Prabhupada entered the eternal pastimes in Goloka. So many people have talked about the wonderful gifts that Prabhupada gave us. So one of the most wonderful gifts that Prabhupada gave us was this Vrindavan Dham. As we just heard, Prabhupada said, oh, when you go to Vrindavan, you will not want to come back. Gargamuni was just reading. So Prabhupada's, one of his greatest gifts to us was to give us this holy Sri Vrindavan Dham. And we have seen how somehow Guru Das had the presence of mind to take pictures. Prabhupada taking the devotees to Nandagam. We've seen Prabhupada sitting in the Palki in Barsana. Somehow there's a film of Prabhupada taking bath in Brahmandagad in Gokul. And Prabhupada took all the devotees and showed us this wonderful Brajadam. So this is one of the, and we find it unbelievable how Prabhupada left this place and went to the Kaliyuki Rajdhani, the capital of Kali Yuga, New York City. We can't imagine. And especially nowadays, all of us, my God brothers and God sisters, we're getting on in the years. I still have 2 more to go to get to that age where Prabhupada left. Already it's so difficult. We can't imagine. We sometimes just want to sit in our room and say, forget it, but we want to serve the devotees, so we just go on serving the devotees. What to do? It's just so wonderful to serve the Vaishnavas. As Vyasaki said, we just want to become the servant of the Vaishnavas. So people always ask me, what is your most favorite place in Braj? And I have to confess, my most favorite place in Braj is Sri Sri Krishna Balaram Mandir, established by Srila Prabhupada.
Because there I get to meet devotees from all over the world who are spreading Prabhupada's movement. In so many places, some places we never even heard of. You know, sometimes devotees coming, where are you from? Estonia, Moldova, who ever heard of these places before we were devotees, you know? And they're doing so many wonderful things. I'm going to finish up quick because I want to hear Satyanarayan tell us about how he's preaching in the Arab countries. Actually, I saw, we went to the Scandinavian Sadhu Sangh festival in Sweden. At the end, we took all the devotees on a glorious Harinam. We were discussing how old days we used to get in trouble with the police. Everybody was happy, and I personally saw all the Muslims were taking pictures, taking selfies with us, taking videos, you know. And I was shocked because I'm mostly here, so I don't know. But Janananda Maharaj told me, he said, they give the best donations. So Mahaprabhu has some, and Prabhupada, they have some secret weapon going on. So I'm anxious to hear about some miraculous event in the Arabic preaching. So this is the most wonderful place. Prabhupada gave us this Krishna Balaram Mandir. You come here, chant, dance, come on Prikrama, and read Prabhupada's books and celebrate these wonderful festivals, because it's just amazing. We're sitting here, there's, you know, there's an ocean of Vaishnavas here. Because one time, when I was no longer temple president, I happened to be sitting near the temple president's office, and there was one fellow named Banwari Lal Pathak, who I went to some of other Vidrazi events, and he would glorify Prabhupada. Not that we told him that you say something nice about ISKCON. He would always talk about how Prabhupada made Vrindavan famous and this and that. So we used to rent, those old days, we used to rent Fogal Ashram. Now nobody even looks at it with the corner of their eye. There's so many other guest houses. We used to rent Fogal Ashram, that's where all the devotees stayed. So he was the managing trustee. So he was sitting there, and I sat next to him, and he told me, you know, he was the head of the Brahmin Society of Vrindavan. And he told me, you know, we Brishbazis are very proud of your Srila Prabhupada. And I said, yes, because Brishbazis, they've seen everything, they know everything, they heard everything. You can't impress them. It's not that because you're foreigners they make fun of you. Even if the Prime Minister come, they would make fun of him. Because what do they care about, you know, Prime Minister? Krishna himself, they're pulling him by the ear, chasing him with a stick, tying him with ropes. What do they care about a Prime Minister? It's not because you're foreigners, it's just the nature. And to impress a Brishbasi is very difficult. It's like impressing a New Yorker. They've seen everything, they know everything, heard everything. And I said, yes. And why is that? He said, because your Prabhupada created a movement that has outlived him. He said, we have seen so many sadhus come, and as long as they were here, their ashram was the center. Every minister and all officials were coming to their ashram. As soon as they left this world, their ashram, nobody looks at it at the corner of their eye. But we come here to ISKCON, it is first of all, it is very clean. Then the kirtan is going on, the artik is going on, you know, the preaching is going on. Prabhupada has created a movement that has lived after him. Today, somehow we managed to make it 50 years, so let's see what we can do another 50 years. Sri Vrindavan Dham ki! Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki! Samaveda Bhakti Vrinda ki!
Dinabandhu Pad ki jai. Thank you, Prabhu. So we're asking Satyanarayan Prabhu to come and give his glorification, then Mother Moksha Lakshmi, then Smarahari Prabhu.
Everyone has spoken so eloquently about so many qualities of Srila Prabhupada. I wanted to briefly give an example of his quality of mercy. Sometimes some people were saying that Srila Prabhupada, he has now left, but of course he is still with us. But just how much he is with us can be seen in this quality of mercy, how far it travels, and how instantly it is acting with people that we could not imagine. A Sundays ago at the Los Angeles temple where the devotee distributors, they're distributing these books of the Far East, Middle East languages. I noticed that on the main book table, those books were missing. So I asked the Prabhu to please put the books, including Arabic, on the table. He did so, and I went to do something for about 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, someone came and told me that there were 3 brothers standing over the Arabic books from Palestine, and they were looking with a great deal of interest, and maybe I should speak with them. I discovered their interest to be more like overwhelming. It took them to the feast, and one of the brothers who was headed back to Palestine the next day, was so excited with everything that he said if it was at all possible, he would like to bring some Arabic books with him back home to try to distribute them in Palestine. They ultimately settled on 40 books as the maximum they could fit in his suitcase and still be able to try to hide them somehow. As they were purchasing them, they were also discussing amongst themselves how and if he was actually going to get himself safely back into Palestine, because it turns out that there's no airport in Palestine. So as per usual, he would have to first fly into Jordan, go through a very dangerous checkpoint into Israel, and then perhaps an even more dangerous checkpoint into Arabic-speaking Palestine. So they had great concern, but also greater excitement. They took the books and left. I didn't hear anything for 2 days, 5 days, 10 days. I was getting very, very worried. The next day I got this letter. Hare Krishna. Dear Satchinarayan, how are you? I want to let you know that I arrived safely home, and it was an easy journey thanks to Srila Prabhupada. You have to realize this is the first time they saw the devotees, and he's already thanking the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. I have a very good news for you. The good news is that Krishna consciousness is spreading throughout the Palestinian territories. I distributed all the books, and people are asking for more. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I checked out the BBT website that you have. There are other translated books into Arabic. Do you have any suggestions how I could get them? I was wondering if I want to order 100 copies of each of those 6 books, what would it cost to ship them? I look forward to hearing from you. Much love, Jerry S. After getting that email, I was able to reach him on Skype. He exploded with enthusiasm, telling me that Krishna blinded the checkpoint officers. No one checked anything. So we shipped 2 big boxes of Arabic books to an Israeli address that they're keeping. Hopefully it hasn't arrived yet, so we're getting a little worried. But hopefully it will reach there and get across the border into the hands of many, many more serious Palestinian seekers of the truth. So Srila Prabhupada's mercy is very much here, very much spreading to places that we cannot imagine, and they're even taking our work on their own shoulders and going back home with these books and spreading this mercy of Srila Prabhupada everywhere. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Satyanarayana Prabhu ki jai. So Mother Moksha Lakshmi, after she breaks the microphone, she'll be speaking. Are you okay there? Okay.
Thank you.
And then Smara Hari Prabhu.
This morning, when I was at Mangalatik at the Samadhi, I became really choked up by the emotion of being here and remembering November the 14th, 1977, which was definitely the longest day of my life. It's, you know, that day, I don't know if I should talk about it, but I feel it's just pressing me at the moment. And it was my birthday that day, so I was in this really enjoying mood as you get on your birthday. You expect presents and things. And then I was at the Goshala, and one devotee came and asked my friend Vishalini, "We need your milk. Srila Prabhupada's leaving his body and we need to bathe Srila Prabhupada in milk." So Vishalini and I, without even saying a single word to one another, we just looked at one another, locked our rooms, and ran to the temple. And we spent the day with Srila Prabhupada, and we didn't move from that room. Not for anything, because we knew this would be the last time that we would be physically present with Srila Prabhupada. I say physically. And the day it just went on forever, the day. And we're chanting the whole day. I don't even remember eating. Everything was forgotten. But the wonderful thing is, well, obviously we stayed up all night chanting as well. We went to the temple. I remember going to Radharaman temple, where Prabhupada was greeted by Vishwambar Goswami. And we came back to the temple and we put Srila Prabhupada in the Samadhi. And I remember after, I looked up and everyone was gone and I was still staring at this hole, and it was really, really sad because there was a stick showing the place where Srila Prabhupada was. And then this morning when I was in the Samadhi, that stick, you know, it just melted away into this beautiful building. And then when I tried to get into the temple, I saw all the devotees and I thought, Srila Prabhupada may have physically left us, but I've said this many times, Srila Prabhupada, he's still here with us. He's as near as we want. Srila Prabhupada is as near to us as we want him to be. If we want to push him away, he'll be further away. But if we want him right here with us, then he's with us every step of the way. So, and the other wonderful thing is, look how cramped we are. I remember when Krishna Balaram Mandir seemed too big. And now it's really a small temple because there's so many of us. And everything's gone on. Dinabandhu kind of said what I was thinking. Everything's gone on. There's more temples, more devotees, the books, Arabic books, my God. And it's so wonderful that Srila Prabhupada has left this legacy and nothing can destroy it. Well, he said that we could, our internal fighting, but Prabhupada has left this legacy and look how it's spread. More temples, and it's just wonderful to know that we're a part of this movement. And wouldn't our lives have been absolutely 100% boring without Srila Prabhupada? He's enriched all our lives. He's made our lives worth living. And I can't thank him enough ever for giving me the life that he's given me, serving Krishna, Balaram, Radharani, everyone, the Vaishnavas. So thank you, Srila Prabhupada, again and again, unlimitedly. Jai.
Thank you, Mother Moksha Lakshmi. Smara Hari Prabhu, then His Holiness Guru Prasad Maharaj.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskacha Desatarne Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shri Gadadhar Shri Basadi Gaur Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. We are gathered here today on this very special occasion of the departure of the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Srila Prabhupada. All of us here today aspire to follow in the footsteps of the directions that Srila Prabhupada has given us, confident that we will, in time, go back to home, back to Godhead. This is a path which must be trodden very carefully. Srila Prabhupada explains, to aspire to be Krishna, this is Mayavad. He also says, to aspire to be Mother Yasoda, Nanda Maharaj, Lalita, Subal, or any of Krishna's entourage is also Mayavad. On one hand, we have the Mayavad tendencies of the jiva. On the other hand, within the followers of Krishna, we have a Sahajya tendency. This idea that we can very quickly go into the Leelas and the pastimes of Krishna. There is nothing more than the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. Foolish people are convinced that there is. This is simply foolishness, simply lack of understanding. Srila Prabhupada simply lacking faith in Srila Prabhupada's teachings. What Srila Prabhupada has given from the very first lecture that he gave to a Western audience, the very first talk, the very first lecture, he has been completely consistent since day one. There is nothing more, nothing extra, nothing needed, nothing incomplete than the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. By following the teachings of Srila Prabhupada today, as the leaders of the Krishna conscious movement are giving today, each and every one of you can go back to home, back to Godhead, and this is guaranteed. In a letter of May 23rd, 1974, a dearly departed god sister named Nandalal Devidasi wrote to Srila Prabhupada. She was concerned. She had some doubts. She wanted Srila Prabhupada to clarify. So Nandalal Devidasi, she wrote to Srila Prabhupada. She said, I heard a sannyasi say in class that when we are performing book distribution, Sankirtan, we are engaging in the Leela of Lord Chaitanya. She said in her letter, we know that Lord Chaitanya is the union of Radha and Krishna, and just as Radharani is even more anxious to arrange for the other gopis to meet with Krishna than she is for herself to meet with Krishna. She continued to quote the lecture that the other gopis are trying to think of ways in which to arrange meetings between Radha and Krishna. So, When devotees are going out and trying to engage the suffering souls, actually what they are doing is trying to arrange for some lost souls to meet Krishna once again, and that this is the Leela of Lord Chaitanya. She asked Srila Prabhupada, is this a proper understanding of Sankirtan? Srila Prabhupada replied, 2 weeks later, on June the 9th, 1974, he said, this explanation that has been given, that Sankirtan is Lord Chaitanya's Leela, which is compared to the gopis trying to engage in Krishna's service, is the correct understanding. Here today, in the Krishna Balaram temple, it is my opinion that it has never been managed so nicely. The President Panchagoda Prabhu and his wonderful wife Gaura Devidasi are doing an excellent job. Yesterday, Matchless Gifts distributed 335 books. The Krishna Balaram team, 170 books. The Gaur-Nitai team, 102 books. The Namahata party, 256 books. Yesterday, a total of 863 transcendental books were distributed. Every day they induce people to go into Srila Prabhupada's Samadhi and chant a round of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, to begin their transcendental loving service to Radha and Krishna. 420 people were persuaded to chant a round of Maha Mantra. Similar programs of book distribution, kirtan, getting new people to chant are happening in all 650 ISKCON temples. So, my prayer is that all of you become enthused by this wonderful transcendental temple, Dinabandhu Prabhu's favorite temple, as he just said, and go back to your temples and carry out this work of distributing Srila Prabhupada's books, engaging people in kirtan, because there is nothing more complete, more substantial, nothing more is required, there is nothing beyond this, no higher teachings. This is simply foolishness that some foolish people are advocating. So please go back to your temples of origin, continue in the Sankirtan movement as given on day one by Srila Prabhupada, as carried out today in 65 temples by our wonderful managers like here in Krishna Balaram Temple. Help save the people of the world, and by so doing, ensure that you yourself are going back to home, back to Godhead very, very soon. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Marahari Prabhu, thank you. You can take another 5 minutes if you like. His Holiness Guru Prasad Maharaj, Mother Atita Guna, and then Paravida Prabhu.
Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatari. So it's an honor to be here again on this wonderful auspicious day of Srila Prabhupada's departure, and
be able to make my offering. As I was sitting here, I was thinking that this very assembly itself is such a wonderful offering to Srila Prabhupada, because so many devotees coming together, not passing by the deity in a ceremonial petition for better material facilities, but sitting, everybody who's not a yogi, with knees crying out, relieve me, but sitting here to hear Srila Prabhupada's glories, the temple so packed, to come and see the deities. This is all such a wonderful contribution of Srila Prabhupada. So I wrote a little poem. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to arrange the meter, but first I was requested to read the offering of our dear godbrother, who's so immersed in the service of the deities that he can't be here right now, from His Grace Bhubaneshwar Prabhu. It is always heartwarming to see so many devotees here in Vrindavan Dham, for Srila Prabhupada's disappearance festival. This is a golden opportunity to show our appreciation to Srila Prabhupada. He wrote in the Krishna book that everyone in the material world is morose, which means unhappy. Even the karmis, yogis, and jnanis. Only the Vaishnavas are happy because they have no personal interest except to serve Krishna. Srila Prabhupada has given us a treasure. It is like an oyster. The outer shell is karma and jnana, but in the middle is a pearl, bhakti. Srila Prabhupada was truly a Vaikuntha man. Once in Calcutta in 1976, there was a program at Prabhupada's family house. It was around 8 o'clock, and we did not expect Srila Prabhupada to come. Suddenly, he arrived. It was like a family reunion. We had kirtan. Then Srila Prabhupada gave a lecture. He said, I had Rath Yatra here when I was a child. My father thought it was child's play, but the neighbors complained why they were not invited. So he said, nothing has changed. Now we are having Rath Yatra all over the world. After the lecture, we had kirtan again, and Prabhupada left. He transformed an ordinary program into a transcendental one. This was the case everywhere he went. Everyone felt surcharged in Prabhupada's presence. We should all try to chant 16 offenseless rounds and follow the 4 regulative principles. In this way, we should pray for Srila Prabhupada's mercy so we can develop our love for the dark and fair couple, Radha and Krishna, and make our life successful. Bowing down at the soft lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada, your servant, Bhubaneshwar Das. Hare Krishna. So on this 50th anniversary of Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental Movement, I offer this humble poem. Srila Prabhupada, your greatest contribution to your fame was your giving to us and everyone the holy name. You sacrificed for us, leaving the land of Chintamani, leaving Sri Damodar's company, coming to save a fallen world. A trip of pain and suffering, Krishna's touch, pangs buffering. Your mission, illusion away hurled. Without any association, one man, Krishna's delegation, with Agarwals not knowing your glory. A Swami with a strange look, known only as a good cook, not yet able to transmit Krishna's story. You tolerated us. A new Swami in town who has gained much renown. From India, a mystic has come. You provided free food, an audience with an enjoying mood, undaunted, chanting with your bongo drum. Being oblivious to culture and rejecting any structure, you offered them loving devotion. Dancing, feasting, and chanting, bhakti lata in them planting. But what follows, they have no notion. you taught us. 4 principles of regulation, life of service and dedication. You have given the key to happiness. To Krishna's service, induction, learning and spiritual instruction swells a current of transcendental success. As we received your grace, distribute books at a rapid pace, your compassion to every living being. Provide loving service to all, no caste, creed, race, big or small. Everyone from darkness, Krishna's grace seeing. You loved us, such a divine loving Father, attending to each and every bother. Topmost devotee, simply desiring only to please, giving so many indications only to avoid life's complications. Soothing words, transit problems will ease. Flooding the world with love and filling the heart thereof, inundating consciousness with deep affection. Awakens Atma, spiritual force, connecting us to the source. With Krishna, Govinda, re-established connection. Physically you have departed, our path now clearly charted. I request you, just do what I have done. Your books, teachings, remembrance, to Goloka gives us entrance. Our life's journey, success we have won. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Guru Prasad Maharaj, thank you. Mother Atita Guna, now the other microphone. Mother Atita Guna, then Parivida Prabhu, His Holiness Kadambakanda Swami, Mother Palani, Bhakti Vishrambhav Madhav Maharaj, and others. Can you go and ask him if he'd be okay? Can you ask him? It was worth it. It was worth it? No, for sure. But
first of all, I want to say how honored I am to be in this glorious assembly of devotees. It's wonderful. My dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you, my spiritual master. You have saved so many of us from Kali Yuga's ever-tightening grip. Krishna's servant Maya is becoming stronger and stronger as the years pass. So we need to distribute more books. I feel so fortunate to be living in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's abode, Sri Mayapur, where the forces of Kali Yuga are not so apparent. You introduced us to this holy land where every word is a song and every step is a dance. I remember you being here in 1977, so weak and frail physically and so enlivening to us spiritually. I had the good fortune to have your darshan in your room. You were so kind and loving towards me, who had given you an insignificant gift. But you treated it as if I had given you something very valuable. You gave me the most valuable gift indeed. In fact, in my attempt to reciprocate with an insignificant gift in return, you continue to shower me with your kindness. Service to Krishna is the topmost gift that one person can give to another. What a happy day that was 120 years ago when you appeared on this earthly planet. One day this world will understand your true greatness in giving Krishna Prem to all of us conditioned souls. So many transcendental books have been distributed and so much spiritual knowledge has flooded the world because of you. Without your perseverance and enthusiastic determination to give this knowledge, Kali Yuga would have strangled hold on everyone. What would have happened to those interested in God consciousness and self-realization if it were not for you? With failing health, but with your spiritual master's goal deeply embedded in your heart, you went to foreign shores where the populace was only interested in more and more sense gratification. Without you, I'd be flailing in an ocean of despair and bewilderment. Thank you very much for taking on the mammoth decision to go to New York, and thank you for breaking through to the spiritually clueless individuals to make them understand that the ultimate goal is Krishna, love of Krishna, and not to gratify the senses. You brought real joy and genuine warmth to us fallen souls. We can never thank you enough. You are Krishna's sublime gift to us. I just wanted to convey to you what I felt on the day I heard that Srila Prabhupada left. So, the last thing I heard Srila Prabhupada say in Melbourne in 1976 was, "If you really love me, you will distribute my books." So somehow or other, I decided to get onto the Sankirtan party. It wasn't as easy as I thought it would be, but anyway, we were able to distribute your books on the streets of Sydney. And it was like, what I felt, it was like every step was a dance and every word was a song while I was distributing your books, because we had the consciousness of you and therefore Lord Chaitanya. So we got back to the temple at about 6 o'clock, and somebody said to us, everyone has to go to the temple as soon as possible. We have some news. And one of the girls said, "Oh, that means a great soul has left." And we said, no, not possible. No, he's never going to leave us. He'll never ever leave us. So we got ready and we went up to the temple, and there was that great soul, Tribhuvanath Prabhu, sitting there, and he was crying his eyes out. So then we knew that what we thought was never going to happen, what we hoped was never going to happen, actually happened. Krishna decided to take Srila Prabhupada back. So we couldn't help it. We were crying, and it didn't stop there. The next day we were told, all right, it's going to be business, more than usual. So get out there and distribute the books. But we were so devastated. We were crying so much. We felt that we needed to grieve, but we were told, no, get out there. That's what Srila Prabhupada would want. And even though we were out there on the streets and we were crying our eyes out, the distribution of the books wasn't less at all. In fact, it was more. We were able to distribute with so much more heart, I felt. So I just wanted to say that if you feel that you need to grieve over someone, especially a spiritual master, I mean that's the worst sort of grieving. Do it. We need to grieve. We need to cry. We need the emotion to go out. We need to, go through it as much as possible. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Mother Atita Guna, thank you. I'd like to ask Paravida Prabhu, then His Holiness Kadambakanda Swami, Bhakti Vishrambhav Madhav Maharaj, Mother Palani,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimarandasya Jnanam Jana Salakaya Chakshuram Miritam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I've been requested to sing a few songs in between all the speeches, and the last 2 years I've made videos to accompany my songs. So one song is how I would feel to be the last Prabhupada disciple on earth. And this year I added Brahmananda Prabhu, Kumarupa Prabhu, Surabi Prabhu, but unfortunately, technically, it's not possible to put a screen in front of here, so you just have to imagine and think of them while I sing this song. I sing two more songs. The second song, those lyrics are written, say, in the time after Srila Prabhupada left us, in the mid-80s, in the days of the Sonal Acharyas, when many of our God brothers and God sisters were hurt and left. And the third song I wrote this year. They are from the musicals, the soundtracks are from the musicals Les Miserables and Oliver. Hare Krishna. I don't have a sound engineer. If you can't hear my words, then tell him. Then he has to put the music down. Thank you. There's a grief that can't be spoken, and despair goes on and on. It's how he rose before sunrise, how we took our bath outside with a bucket of icy water in the middle of winter. Brothers and sisters, where are you? Have you all made it back home? Are you in your Siddhanta? Or are you serving Srila Prabhupada once more? I dreamed a dream of times gone by, when we were young and life excited, when you were there to certify that ISKCON thrived and stayed united.
saints and sinners lived with us to learn to be Krishna conscious. With you there as the fountainhead who would bring us all back home to Godhead. There were those when you did leave us, by Kali's sway became ambitious, who for fortune, name and fame tore our hopes apart, slowly turning our dreams to shame. I dreamed a dream of times gone by, when we were young and life excited. We dreamed of how in every town and village there would be a temple all united. I never thought that it would be so different from the way it used to be, so unlike from how it could be. But Kali can't kill this dream I dream. Srila Prabhupada ki. Thank you. And the last one. I'm not done yet.
Just running out of time.
Yeah.
Running out of time. A lot of
Okay.
people.
As long as I do live, I'll do my best to give what I have learned from you that is so deep and true. As long as I will live, I'll try to care and share with those that show they're keen to know what I have seen. I miss you so since you have gone. It is not easy to carry on what some will say and do. Makes me sad and blue. My heart must hide away words I cannot say. Some do not say the things they should, nor act the way I know you would. But all the same I'll play their game their way. So your message will live on. you nurtured everyone. Whatever we could do was good enough for you. I'll try my best to see your special legacy will flourish and live on through drama or a song. I am so grateful for what you have done. I miss you so much since you have gone. Oh, Srila Prabhupada, may I not betray your trust. May I free my heart from lust. It's what I owe you. Srila Prabhupada ki. Thank you.
Thank you, Parivita Prabhu. So we have a half an hour left. At 12:30 we are starting the Abhishek for Srila Prabhupada. I'd like to invite His Holiness Kadambakanda Swami. I know there's many more speakers. We'll try to make them brief, hopefully. Kadambakanda Swami, Haripad Prabhu, and Mother Palini.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti-Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pastya Chadesa Tarine. So many wonderful Vaishnavas, so many wonderful disciples of Srila Prabhupada who shared so many memories and glorifying Srila Prabhupada. And I was thinking that what do we know of Srila Prabhupada's greatness? He came to this world for a short time, and what do we know of who he is beyond and what service he did beyond? But that short time here, that was so glorious. A spark. We just saw a spark of his splendor, and that spark ignited so many things. It ignited, first of all, in the hearts of many people. It inspired them, it gave them faith. We see in the hearts of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, it particularly ignited love in a very short time. That carried on, and then he pushed on his preaching. He wanted so many things, big programs, difficult things. Yes, distributing books, we heard, it was more difficult than people thought, for most. Developing these holy dhams, very difficult. Prabhupada said, let not an inch of Mayapur and Vrindavan deteriorate, even if all temples may close. An impossibly big temple in Mayapur, so much effort. All his instruction. And wherever people now embrace that instruction of Prabhupada, in their heart, the spark will also ignite faith. And if they live with the instruction of Srila Prabhupada, it will also ignite love. And in this way, this movement will continue to attract people and to keep people for an entire life. Going against maybe the general trend in the world, but somehow or other captured by His amazing grace. A few days ago, I read some scholarly article of a scholar who studied ISKCON for many years, and the scholar said that, of course, some of the early beliefs of the movement are now outdated. I'm sure that this movement will not take over the world, the scholar said, but definitely that it will go on. But we know differently. Maybe the scholar was looking just from a logical perspective, but this movement is not just spreading on a logical basis. This movement is a movement of miracles. Miracles created by faith, miracles created by love, miracles created by Krishna's mercy, by Prabhupada's mercy, and then so many things happened, and we saw. I remember Russia and how devotees were in labor camps, mental hospitals, and all these things. And then it all turned around. And these days, when you don't speak Russian in this movement, you're missing out on a large percentage of our devotees. India just exploded. Everywhere, Krishna consciousness is happening. So we still have that same faith. There is no doubt that this movement will take over the world. And it's up to us to be part of it, if we like. And that's the wonderful gift. This evening in Srila Prabhupada's house, an arti will be offered to the bed of Srila Prabhupada at the time of his departure from this world. And at the end of that, Srila Prabhupada's chadar is taken from the bed and goes around the room and is placed on the heads of those in the room. And whenever I feel the weight of that chadar on my head, it's quite a heavy chadar. When I feel the weight of that chadar on my head, then I feel, now it's our turn. Now somehow or other, of course, who are we? But all together maybe, small as we are, it is our turn to take responsibility for this Krishna consciousness movement. And every year, therefore, I come on this day, I come for that moment actually, to sit here and say a few words, that is mercy, but to be there in the evening, that is very important for me, to somehow or other be reminded that now it is our turn to do something to spread Srila Prabhupada's movement. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Kadambakana Swami, thank you very much. I would like to ask Mother Kalindi, and after Mother Kalindi, Mother Palani, then Haripad Prabhu. Ladies first.
Hare Krishna. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pasaya Bhutale. Srimati Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Niti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravani Pacharine Nirvise Sasunyavadi Paschachada Satanane. So I'm the devotee of the devotee of the devotees. I'm speaking only because I wanted to honor all my God sisters and my God brothers. They were so fortunate. I can only say that I only wish that I knew now, that I knew then what I know now. To see all of the devotees here, to know what they have accomplished in loving Srila Prabhupada, it is truly amazing. I was the reluctant devotee. I spoke with Gargamuni last night. We never spoke in 1966. We were very strict about observing Varnashram Dharma. So we finally spoke yesterday, and he knew my heart, even though we'd never spoken, and I knew his heart. And the devotees tolerated my reluctance, and they've been very kind and very generous over the years. They've been very loving and encouraged me in my Krishna consciousness. And Srila Prabhupada, of course, I had actually a private audience with Srila Prabhupada in order for me to overcome my reluctance. I don't remember anything about it. It was in 1966, other than he was very, very kind to me. So most of my experience has been through Rupanuga and Akindra, who was one of the original little ones. And one time Srila Prabhupada came to Buffalo, and it was the end of his stay, and it had been at the end of a very long day, and Srila Prabhupada went to his quarters with Brahmananda, who was his servant. And Akindra, my son, who was 4, was crying unconsolably, not as a child cries, but as an adult, as if he was grieving for someone who had died. And I couldn't get him to stop, so finally I said, okay, we have to go. He said, I don't want Srila Prabhupada to go. He cannot go. So I finally went to Brahmananda and I said, he won't stop crying because Srila Prabhupada is leaving. So Brahmananda took him in to see Srila Prabhupada. Akindra was immediately placated, and then Prabhupada said, so Akindra will travel with us, and Brahmananda, you will take care of Akindra. Everyone, of course, laughed, because we all knew that Brahmananda was not capable of taking care of a 4-year-old little boy. So there was never a moment where Srila Prabhupada was not kind to me, and there was never a moment where the devotees were not extremely merciful to me. And so I'm privileged to be here. I'm overwhelmed by what has happened in 39 years. And I know there was much suffering, especially in Russia, and I think we have to acknowledge suffering beyond anything I may have suffered, and I can only offer my obeisances to everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mother Kalindi. So we'll ask Haripad Prabhu to speak, Mother Palani. We'll have an evening program again this evening. In Prabhupada's quarters, there's kirtan. Prabhupada's disciples can come in the inner section. At 7:20 we have the arti ceremony and the offerings to Prabhupada. And after the kirtan, we'll stay longer for other devotees to speak. I'm sorry that everyone did not have the opportunity. And we're just trying to have a few devotees who are not here regularly speak.
Om Omaganathamirandaśya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, very happy to be here again in Sri Vrindavan Dham, and we want to just share a few thoughts. I'll speak briefly. I was fortunate, although raised in a Christian family in the West, I was fortunate to meet Srila Prabhupada in the first way through his devotees and through kirtan. I saw devotees in the park having Nagar Sankirtan. I bought books from the devotees outside of a health food store, or even one time hitchhiking. I got in a car and 200 meters down they stopped again to pick up someone else, and it was another Hare Krishna devotee. Bought a book from him. The thing that really turned my life around was I borrowed the Bhagavad-Gita as it is from a friend of mine named Jack. I saw it on his bookshelf, and I asked him, "What is this book?" He said, "It's a Bible from India." I said, "Let me borrow it. I want to read it. I'm trying to understand who God is." So I took Prabhupada's Bhagavad-Gita as it is to my home. I had a small house I was buying. My body was 23 years old. I had a business I was managing, but I locked the business, and I read the Bhagavad-Gita as it is, starting with the preface and then the introduction and then every verse and every purport. It took me 3 days to read all 900 pages. And after reading the book, I realized finally that who Jesus was praying to was Krishna, because he was praying, "Our Father who art in heaven." And I realized Krishna is the supreme and that Jesus is the son of Krishna. So I looked in the back of the Bhagavad Gita because I wanted to meet this Bhaktivedanta Swami. And I looked at the addresses of the different temples. I was living in California. I called one temple. They said, no, call Los Angeles. I think that Bhaktivedanta Swami is there. So I called up very excitedly, and they said, yes, he's here. And I said, oh, how long will he be there for? And they said, I think another 3 days. And I said, please don't let him leave. I'm coming right now. So I got in my car, and this is after almost 3 days of no sleep, just reading Bhagavad Gita. So I sat in front of Prabhupada in our Los Angeles temple for 3 days. I was one of the normal people who joined, hippies with long hair and beards. So all the brahmacharis that I saw that first day looked like what we call now a Narada Muni, shiny, shaven head and shika. So I shaved my beard. I didn't have a razor, I borrowed it. I shaved my beard and tucked my long hair down the back of my shirt. And I heard Prabhupada speak for 3 days. And then I went back to my home 6 hours away. I borrowed an electric buzzer and I shaved my own head. And I called some of the devotees that I had met in Los Angeles and said, I just joined ISKCON. And that's how my beginning was. At 7 years as a brahmachari, I thought I was going to be some fired up sannyasi one day and preach all over the world. But Cupid had some other ideas with his sharp arrows. So I got married, and 35 years now, happily married, 3 children, 6 grandchildren. And in the last, Prabhupada said that if the wife is favorable to preaching, then no need for sannyas. So my wife is very favorable in the preaching mission. So for the last 7 years, we're living here in India. We have a home in Udupi, a flat among other devotees, and we travel all over India on the trains. We're going to Sri Lanka for the 6th time. We go to meet all of our ISKCON friends all over India for giving some classes and for leading some kirtan. She's expert on the harmonium, and I like to sing. So that's what our life is now. I had a business for many years. I earned some money by Krishna's grace, and we have enough to live on comfortably. So now we just travel around India, and our only business now is self-realization and trying to encourage the devotees. So last point I want to make, Prabhupada met Bhaktisiddhanta in
At the age of 26 in 1922, he got the instruction to go to the West and preach because he spoke nice English. But think of it, Srila Prabhupada spent 43 years, from 1922 to 1965, 43 years preparing himself to preach. So that's basically what happened to me. I've spent now, this is my 44th year in ISKCON, and after all the business and supporting the children and building the house for the family, last 10 years now, we've been learning more sweet melodies for singing kirtan and studying the books more. So now we're trying to follow in the divine footsteps of Srila Prabhupada, because preaching is the essence in our movement. Jive doya, Krishna nam sarva dharma sar. The actual mission of this sampradaya is to be merciful to the jivas by giving them the holy name. So let us all make a plan. Our mind is just like a factory. And you say, what do you mean the mind's a factory? The mind is a factory because factories produce things. So our mind is also so many things it's producing, especially it's producing plans. So we should all, as devotees, feel responsible for this sampradaya we're in, and we should, even if we're young, newly married or recently married or have some children still at home, we should be making plans how we can free ourselves from the encumbrance of pounds, shillings, and pence, and get out and do preaching and chanting and try to be merciful to the jivas by giving them the holy name and giving them Srila Prabhupada's transcendental books. Srila Prabhupada ki!
Haripad, thank you. Mataji?
Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Sitting over here and listening to everyone speak, of course, so many things were going through my mind, what I could say. I'm not so good at speaking extemporaneously, but I did come up with a few ideas. One thing I wanted to share with all of you was something my husband quotes often, and that is that the business of a devotee is to earn the favor of Krishna. The business of a devotee is to earn the favor of Krishna. That was Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada gave everything he had and more. He went the extra mile constantly. I remember seeing the back of Srila Prabhupada's head up in his window from the alley next to the Los Angeles temple. And I figured that Srila Prabhupada was up there translating Krishna's books. He used to do that all night. He would sleep very little, and then he would get up and he would translate into his dictaphone. So by Prabhupada's grace, we have his amazing books that we can take shelter of every day. So we're very fortunate. Also, I want to say thank you to all of you who have dedicated your lives for the propagation of the holy name. There's a beautiful prayer that Srila Prabhupada gave us. It's actually a song. O He Vaishnava Thakur. And I try to fit this in daily in my prayers to chant the translation of that song. So I would like to share it with you now. O Venerable Vaishnava, O Ocean of Mercy, be merciful unto your servant. Give me the shade of your lotus feet and purify me. I hold on to your lotus feet. Teach me to control my 6 passions: words, mind, anger, tongue, belly, and genital. Rectify my 6 faults: overeating, attachment to material things, useless idle talk, inability to follow regulative principles, sense gratification, and impure habits. Bestow upon me the 6 qualities: enthusiasm in practicing devotional service, firm faith in devotional processes, a strong desire to attain prema bhakti, a favorable service attitude, avoidance of non-devotees, and appreciation of the company of devotees. And offer unto me the 6 kinds of holy association: to go to an assembly of devotees, to invite devotees into one's home, to discuss and hear devotional topics, to take the Mahaprasad of devotees, and to offer Mahaprasad to devotees. I do not find the strength, Srila Prabhupada, to carry on alone the Sankirtan of the holy name of Hari. Therefore, you are so kind, Srila Prabhupada, to give me the constant association of your dear disciple. You have given me such a sincere husband who takes me all over India and Sri Lanka, and I am simply playing the harmonium and running after him, shouting Krishna, Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Mother Palani. So Bhakti Vishrambhav Madhav Maharaj, then Mother Naradi, and then we'll close it. Devaki Nanda Prabhu, closing words. This evening again, we're having more katha for Srila Prabhupada glorification in Srila Prabhupada's house.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimad Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharne Nivase Susunnivari Pasatya Deshatarne. Prabhupada's teachings is the glue that the whole world can fit in. The whole house that Prabhupada said that the whole house can fit in. So that's Prabhupada's teachings. We're done. Huh? We're done.
I'll say a few more words. I'll close it.
He wants me to say a few more words. Is there any questions? It's interesting that one godbrother was supposed to give a short class, and he goes, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Any questions? Was that short enough? So that was funny. That was funny. This godbrother is quite funny. He's quite hilarious. Yet everything comes from Prabhupada, no matter what. Prabhupada is the glue that this whole movement and everything sticks in. Prabhupada's instructions is the glue that everything sticks in.
Bhakti Vishrambhav Maharaj, thank you very much. So we're asking Mother Naradi from Atlanta, then Devaki Nandan Prabhu. Then we're going to have a short, small ceremony for cutting Srila Prabhupada's cake. Gopal Krishna Maharaj will be there. We set up the Abhishek on the table here. After Abhishek, Kirtan, we're doing Pushpanjali in Srila Prabhupada's house. Not Samadhi.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti-Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachati Shatarini. I just have a little message. My dear Srila Prabhupada, all glories to your divine grace, Jagat Guru, Savior of the whole world. On the sacred day of your disappearance from our physical sight, I thank you with all my heart for coming to America. I thank you for writing your books, which drew me and others like me and different from me to your lotus feet. I fancied myself that time long ago as some kind of wandering gypsy in search of spiritual truth. But as I was discussing with a young devotee from Brazil, everywhere I looked, there was no truth. And every book I read, no matter how famous, no matter how thick, at the end was a total disappointment. And I was starting to wonder, where is this spiritual truth I'm searching for? But that was before I found your book, Srila Prabhupada. By the time I knocked on the door of the 13th Street Temple in Atlanta, Georgia, you had already defeated all of my arguments. You had already talked me out of my anartas. You've defeated my arguments in your books, and I was coming to the temple for the sole purpose of getting some japa beads. That day, Kardamamuni Das Brahmachari let me in and told me to go and serve Tulsi Devi until some women get back from Sankirtan, which I did. That day, I chanted 16 rounds, served Tulsi Devi, and when everyone got back, I met my spiritual family. And I stayed, and I began my path back to Godhead. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for my life. I beg of you, please, Srila Prabhupada, allow me to become your expert servant somehow. Allow me to never forget you, to always remember you in every circumstance. Your humble servant, Naradi Dasi.
नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति-वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पश्चादेशतारिणे गुरवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकायै तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुमेव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो Srila Prabhupada ki! So today is most auspicious day of disappearance day of His Divine Grace, S.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. We all are here by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada has planted a tree, desired tree. In planting a tree, it takes some time. You have to really fence, pour the water, and so on and so forth. But once tree grows up, then it gives unlimited fruit. So in beginning, we heard from many devotees how difficult it was. But by devotees had a struggle, their cooperation and sincere desire to follow Srila Prabhupada's instruction, the ISKCON tree has grown up such a way that we can see that every town and village, what Lord Chaitanya has said, Prithivite Ache Jot Nangaradi Gram, Sarvatra Prachar Hoibo Moranam. The holy name is spreading. I can talk about India. There were a time that we are looking, finding out where should we start a center, how many devotees we have. But now time has come that we find devotee everywhere, whether you are on airport, you are on railway station, bus stop, anywhere you find some devotee there. Not only that, there are so many people are coming forward and they are saying, Prabhuji, Swamiji, I want to offer 5-acre land to build a temple. So much offering is coming, but we have no money to register even that land right now. So we can see that how the tree is giving so much fruit and how the Krishna consciousness movement is spreading. Srila Prabhupada is very much here. He is watching us. He is supervising us. He is correcting us. He is encouraging us. And He is giving all the strength and guidance required to move on. I didn't have much of association, but 1 year whatever I had association, which is very valuable for me to carry on for rest of my life. They are saying, Darshana Pavitra Kara E Tomar Gun. It was very difficult those days in 76, 77 to go and meet Prabhupada directly, especially 77. Radharaman Maharaj is here somewhere. He was my partner. We were together in 77. So we had no opportunity to go directly. I was a little naughty, still I am naughty. I have to try to run here and there and used to get caught. But every day evening we used to climb on the terrace of guest house and sit in the corner and sing Prabhupada sitting in the garden and devotees were chanting. Just we are seeing Prabhupada and he used to look at us sometime. That glance has purified me at least. And we are still here, Radharamana Maharaj and myself, we are carrying on. Two other instances which I also told last year, one was Bapu and other was Bani. Bani Seva, I came from book distribution. Prabhupada was in courtyard having darshan of Shyam Sundar. I offer obeisances where my feet was toward facing Radha Shyam Sundar. I didn't know English those days, even today I also don't know much. But by the mercy of ISKCON and Prabhupada I can speak. So Prabhupada told Bhavananda Prabhu, Bhavananda Maharaj those days, and Satdhanya Maharaj was there to tell me that it is offense. They tried to say, I couldn't understand. So he called me and he told me in Hindi, Udhar Thakur hai, Thakur taraf pair nahi karna. Krishna is there, don't put your feet towards that. That has gone in my head. Even I see today, sometime, now is Damodar Ashtakam time, many temple has Damodar, other side. So devotee offer obeisances and their feet facing the deity. So I call the devotee and I remind them what Prabhupada said. That's Bani Seva. Bapu Seva, Akhyanand Swami was the president, I was his servant. One day, Prabhupada every day used to go for morning walk. Jashodananda Maharaj, along with Gurukul boy, used to chant Brahma Samhita, and Prabhupada used to come, and we had red ambassador. Akhyanand Swami was driving him for morning walk. One day, he forgot something in his office. His office was first floor. I think where Ganpati lives, that was his office. So he forgot something on first floor. He said, just be here. I'm just going and getting this thing. If Prabhupada comes, open the door. So I was very careful and I was trembling that I was just a foolish and I was thinking Prabhupada should not come now. Otherwise what will happen? That was my prayer that time. But it went other way around. Prabhupada came. And I opened the door but I was holding the door like this. So Prabhupada could not go. He was standing. And I offer obeisance and holding the door like this. I offer obeisance. When I got up, then I realized what great blunder I am doing. And when I got up, Prabhupada put his hand on my sikha. Still I feel his presence there on my sikha. And that this sikha is same sikha. Although once I was getting saved, a barber cut little bit and a big fight. I punched him also for cutting some of my sikha. But still I have same sikha. So Prabhupada's blessing is here. On this auspicious day, I am praying to Srila Prabhupada and all of you Vaishnavas and senior devotees, please bless me so that we can preach Srila Prabhupada's glories everywhere, all over the world. The way ISKCON is going, as Kadama Maharaj was saying, we will take over the whole world with Krishna consciousness. There is no doubt. And you can see Russia, now so much happening in China. He talking about Russia, there are so many Russian devotees. There are many Chinese devotees also. Like that, the Gulf countries, so much preaching going on. India, everywhere. Even in America, it's picking up now. So Krishna consciousness is growing like forest fire, day in, day out. So let us cooperate together. Real challenge is there now with the general devotees, the gurus, GBC, the leader. We all have to cooperate together in order to take the whole world to spread Krishna consciousness. Toward the end, I only like to beg all of you, please keep Srila Prabhupada in core of our heart. Make Srila Prabhupada center of your life. Read his books. Have faith in his word. That will help us a long way. As Panchagauda Prabhu told to request all of you, he requests, I am also requesting, the program is not over, it has just started. Evening time again we have program, so please come, everyone come there, Prabhupada's house, and let us glorify Srila Prabhupada. We can be up whole night glorifying Srila Prabhupada, still time will be less. Srila Prabhupada ki